G'day and welcome to KrakenCast. This is the oceanic branch of Vassals of Kingsgrave, the Game of Thrones review series. Today we'll be discussing Eastwatch, which is episode 5 of season 7. I'm Sarah, known as Lady Weaver on the forums.
Hi, this is Duncan, also known as Valkyros on the forums.
Donna, Team Donna on the forums.
This is Bing, Shushan on the forums.
And David HHH on the forums.
Thanks for answering the call, and let's get this started. So, what was your lemon cake rating out of 5 for this episode?
I'm actually gonna be a bit harsh this week and give this episode 2.5 lemon cakes. I did enjoy myself while I was watching it, but I thought quite a few of the scenes showed a really tenuous grasp on character motivations and narrative structure. The overriding impulse seems to be, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And then the show kind of works backwards from there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the final scene in particular felt a lot closer to, to me it feels less like the Game of Thrones that I'm used to. Like the final scene, for example, felt more like a Marvel Comics book movie than this kind of medieval, gritty character drama that I love. I did love the previous 2 episodes, as I mentioned in the previous KrakenCast, but while I think the season has increased the quality of spectacle, like the big action sequences, I think this episode made me realize how far the quality of the writing has started to drop. So yeah, middling, 2.5 lemon cakes for me.
I'll give it a 3.5. I would say it was, another one of those setup episodes. We had a couple of holy crap important moments in strange places. But overall, I kind of liked where they were going, but it was still set up, so there wasn't all that much exciting. All the character moments were kind of okay, but I'm not sure where they're going with everything. So I guess it'll kind of depend on where they end up, how I, in the end, feel about it. But about 3.5. It was good. It was fun. It was nice. But, nothing that made me go, holy crap, I love this. Other than a certain moment I'm sure we'll talk about.
I gave it 2.75 lemon cakes. I gave it a whole one for Davos.
True.
Just fantasticness. I think I gave it another point for fan service, and then 0.25 for Gendry's hammer, and a 0.5 for Jorah and Tyrion. That's where it got its marks, and everything else, nope. It just, yeah. I agree with Duncan. It's just the characterization has gone out the window, I feel, a little bit. And, yeah, we'll get into it a bit later. It had its moments. I enjoyed watching it. But even after, and it always happens after these really big, glamorous episodes, the next episode always feels a bit hollow, a bit.
Yep.
This one had its own problems. It just wasn't like a come down. It had its own problems as well.
So I think I gave this episode a 3 or 3.5 in the forums right after I just saw it. The more I think about this episode, the more and more stupid it gets. and especially the main plot, if you will, of this story, of this episode, the more it is incredibly stupid. I have to give it a 2, or probably 1 actually.
Wow. Okay.
Because one thing that the writing is dropping, and I'm willing to accept a certain level of stupid if it is cool. This is not cool enough to justify the stupid. Like Donna said, it is dragging all the character writing down with it. There was a lot of moments that had a lot of potential, like the meeting of Jaime and Tyrion after all this time, and it was handled as we need to get to this point B. And we just ignore all the sort of emotional impact of all these important moments to get to that point. And if that point is a cool point or a very nice plot line, then sure, okay, I'm willing to hand wave that. But it seems the final point is really, really stupid. So, anyways, yeah.
I think I'm going to give this episode a 2.5 out of 5. Just middle of the road, because I think this was really Davos's episode and I love Davos, so I'm like, yeah, go Davos. Like you're saying, I think some of the things in it are a bit silly, or it could have been handled better. But in saying that, this episode is probably one of the few ones that I'm more likely to scream at my TV set because I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, oh. But yeah, so yeah, I'd say a 2.5. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird to give it a rating because it's like some of it I really liked and some of it I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But that's the way with a lot of them though.
It can be a hard show to rate because sometimes you can't even judge one episode because it is, as you say, David, it's sort of transitional or a setting up episode.
Right.
So it's like,
Exactly.
okay, they're doing a lot of things that could eventually evolve into something interesting, but the actual content we're watching isn't that compelling.
Right.
And I think more and more, I think you said something really interesting a couple of weeks ago, being where you were saying they've become more like caricatures than characters, more like a collection of traits. And increasingly in this episode, it felt like the characters were becoming subservient to the narrative. So this is what they want the narrative to be, and the characters just kind of fit into that without any real justification or clear motivation. Whereas what I've always loved about the show and the books they're based on, obviously, is that the characters always drive the narrative. It's always about their desires and their fears and their wants that actually sort of drive the world building and the narrative.
Yeah.
I don't really get that as much with this season or the last season.
Yeah.
I found my point breakdown: a point for Davos, a point for Tormund, half a point for Gendry, and a quarter of a point for Jorah and Tyrion moment. That's how I did it. I forgot Tormund. Goodness.
I think I just couldn't. I mean, yeah, those individual moments are nice, I guess, but it's harder for me to justify when all these things packaged together like that for me to give it a positive score or anything.
Well, I mean, again,
scores matter because it doesn't.
I think it really depends on where they go with everything they've done this week. Like, it could go in great directions that makes it a very important and awesome episode, or they could go in really stupid directions that make us look back on this and think, oh, this was the beginning of the crap. So it's hard to judge this because we don't know yet where they're going with some of this stuff. We can probably guess in some ways, but you never know if our guesses will be right or not. So,
and it is tricky because it is going off, particularly this episode just sprung off in so many different directions. Like this plan materialized in this episode that just makes not a lot of sense, but it's sending them off in a particular direction. You have this balance between Dany and Cersei has really been shifted dramatically. It's not clear how that'll sort of shake out. So I guess we will have to look back a bit on this to evaluate it fully.
Yeah.
But we can only do the best with what we've got.
Right. I think any of our ratings could jump a whole point one way or another depending on where they end up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Points and ratings are automatically meaningless, right?
Of course. But it's still fun. It's still fun to say lemon cake.
Yes,
you're penetrating the bureaucracy.
Sorry.
Without a clear, consistent marking rubric, there's no way we could rate this or grade it effectively.
Our house of cards. Like House of Cards.
It's always fun to say lemon cakes. That's what matters.
It is, yeah.
It is. Yeah. This week, how they moved from location to location, it didn't really make sense to break it down into specific places, or at least I didn't think so. So we're going to follow the setup that the episode had and follow that because they did it linearly. Okay. So we're starting with the Rose Road with Jaime and Bronn. So we see Bronn's head bob to the surface of the lake and he's pulling Jaime up with him. They exit the lake and it's actually the shore opposite the battleground. They talk about how they don't really stand a chance against 3 dragons because they hardly stood a chance against 1 dragon, and that Bronn doesn't envy Jaime's task of telling Cersei that they're royally fucked.
Yeah, I mean, did we not all just see this easy solution coming? Oh, we were all talking, how could he get out of it? And we knew they weren't going to really give us those details, and that's fine. I mean, I don't think any of us really expected to get a detailed, how did Jaime get out of his armor and all that. And, I'm okay with that. I wasn't expecting it, so whatever.
I think it basically confirms that he's a Merling if he can swim in armor.
Yeah. Oh.
Confirmed.
Huge revelation in this episode.
Confirmed.
As well, they would have had to have swum from the opposite side of the lake all the way there. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. He'd drown on the way.
With no Dothraki around them.
Yes, with no
None at all.
Dothraki, just because that's how they did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal to me. It just would have been nice if he had like not had his armor still on, because then at least you can imagine Bronn sort of pulling him above water. But the fact that he's in his armor, it's just Bronn couldn't possibly have dragged him that far.
I just found it really, really stupid, because with how they ended the episode last time, it was with Jaime underwater with an awesome floating scene. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to start up with that scene, and no, it's with Bronn's head above water. And I'm like, oh. And with Jaime in full armor.
Shot, yeah. It was quite a striking, sort of ominous shot. So the fact that they sort of cut it off at its heels so quickly felt a bit jarring.
I expected it. I just expected it.
It was a cheap cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's nice to know that Bronn has surf life saving experience. They have that program happening in Westeros. I said last week how much I wanted consequences to this battle, and the scene in the next one just showed that there is no consequences if you're a lord and you go into battle. Oh, you're a named character. You get to survive anything except Dragonfire.
Bronn's got the most thankless job in all Westeros.
His stipulations, like, he's like, no, yeah, I was on Team Lannister pre-dragons, but now they're dragons, so yeah, I'm sorry, I'm out.
No, but that's actually the most Bronn-like response, because he wouldn't have stuck around against dragons in the book, so I think it suits his character more to be like, yeah, no, next time you see dragons, I am out, goodbye.
But he never got his payment, so that's the thing that keeps him around. Like, we try to think that he was trying to be loyal and whatever, but he's claiming here it was just for that. The question is now, how long is Bronn going to stay on Team Jaime? Or is he going to head to other sides? Or will he just take off to save himself? Which would probably be the smartest move, let's be honest.
Well, we see him in King's Landing later on, so
for now.
He's still hanging around, and he still really wants that castle, so I guess, yeah.
Sure.
And we know that Tyrion and Bronn see each other again, so he might actually go and join up with Tyrion, because there doesn't seem to be any hard feelings there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Which is weird.
Which doesn't make sense.
I will say, I think this is probably one of the better parts of the episode for me, just Jaime's reaction to Dany's attack. Like, he's really shaken up by what he saw. And I think it makes sense with, like, his whole psychological connection to the Mad King and how he had to kill the Mad King because he was trying to burn everyone. So the fact that his daughter's returned and is kind of, threatens to resurrect the Targaryen horrors and all that. It's like Jaime's nightmares coming back to haunt him. And him sort of contending with Cersei, this monster in his midst that he's like terrified of and also loves. I think in a weird way he's emerged as a bit of the sort of one of the more central characters of the series, because of the season rather, because Dany is so powerful at this point. It's almost like she can just steamroll over everyone. And Jon and Tyrion haven't really had a lot to do this season. They've just kind of been trying to contend with Dany, whereas Jaime has faced this really intense external conflict, but also his kind of internal conflict in terms of his love for Cersei. So I'm enjoying his character the most at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Right. Even if it's different from the books, they're going in interesting directions with it, I think. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay, so this is the Rose Road Part 2, and it's with Tyrion and Daenerys. So Tyrion walks through the corpses and ashes of the battlefield towards the dragon, and the Dothraki are shepherding the surviving members of the Lannister forces towards it as well. Daenerys stands in front of Drogon and gives a speech about how she is going to break the wheel, and that the wheel actually benefits people like Cersei Lannister, and she gives them the choice of bending the knee or dying. Randall and Dickon Tarly both refuse to bend the knee and are executed by Dragonfire.
Dickon is living up to his name, being a dick.
Well,
dude, I was actually really impressed, because I was like,
yeah,
I was so pissed off with Dany in this scene. I was like, no, I hate you. Stab, stab, stab. I really, really liked Randall and Dickon in the scene, because their response to it would be more like my response, because I would just be like, no, goodbye, I'm going to die, I don't give a shit, fuck you. So
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting.
I would bend the knee, immediately bend the knee.
Well, one of the things I was trying to
The
figure
dragon
out.
flying and bend the knee, like immediately.
I was trying to figure out why Randall was being so dedicated to Cersei when he really hasn't been until now, and given that she, was responsible for the death of Olenna and all that, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, but it became clear as he talked more that, remember, one thing we've seen with Randall all along is that he is xenophobic. Remember, he hated Gilly for being a wildling. He hates foreigners. There's certainly a certain amount of political commentary going on here. So I think that's really where they were going with that, was the whole reason he couldn't is like, I'm not going to let this foreign princess, even though she was born here, and her foreign hordes come to us. So for that reason, I'm going to stick with Cersei, who I don't actually care about at all. And I kind of like that. But then we got into the why is Dickon standing up to it? And I still couldn't kind of figure that out, because even Randall was kind of like, stay back, Dickon, shut up. And then he stood up and was like, okay, I guess I'll stand with you. That I thought was weird. I couldn't figure out why Dickon. I think he's just trying to be like loyal to his father, but it just seemed weird.
The idea there is that Dickon has been so brainwashed into his father's ways that in the end he followed his father to his death, even though that's not the outcome his father wants, and sort of a tragedy of Randall's parenting, I guess.
Maybe.
It's like they've made this decision, and it might not have been the right one, but they made it and they suffered because of it, and they fought on that choice. And the idea of going back on it means that the suffering was for nothing. Even if you get to live, you sort of have to live with what you've done. So it's like, it's this very sort of honor bound, I took this oath. It sort of reminds me of Thorne take the mutiny.
Right.
And then his final words to Jon Snow is like, I tried to do it, I failed, I'm going to accept my death. It's that kind of, I made a choice, it was the wrong choice, but I'm going to live with it kind of thing. There's more honor in that than sort of switching sides.
It actually kind of reminds me of Stannis, because it's that sort of mindset where you'd break rather than bend, where you'll just keep standing up until you're killed. So yeah,
exactly,
I think it's really interesting.
It's sort of a world of impossible choices for a lot of these characters, because there's so many claimants to the throne at various points. It's like, if you choose one, you're betraying another, but all you've got is your own sort of personal honor, your own personal code. So that's all they have to cling to.
On the plus side, though, Sam can now keep the sword with no one giving him any crap.
I know. With them killing Dickon and Randall, I'm like, Sam is still a member of the Night's Watch. Only problem, otherwise he would be getting that castle, the swords, and he would be inheriting all that. And I'm like, do you think they can say Little Sam's his son still, and then Little Sam will claim it all and inherit?
Oh my God, yes, he's like Lord of the Rings
awesome.
now.
That's awesome.
Lord of
my God, yeah.
And this little wildling baby is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
No, except that he's not actually his kid, but oops.
That doesn't
you're
matter.
right.
But Sam has claimed him as his own, so
Yeah.
That's
2 points I have out of that scene is that
although he is a bastard. So as a bastard,
doesn't matter. There's nobody left. There's no Tyrese left.
You
There's
can
not
just
even Tyrell's
instate
left.
them as a member of your house, because isn't it, if they're a bastard, the head of the house can actually make it so you're no longer a bastard and you can inherit all the king does. So
I mean, the show already has that. Has the president of Ramsay.
Right.
I think
which would be John.
Do it.
So, which is John.
Of course,
so.
Yeah. So it would happen.
One little thing I just wanted to say about this scene too is, I don't care how many times she says it, Dracarys just never gets told. I can hear it a million times and I'll still be happy.
Oh, I am so really not a Dany fangirl. So, I hated her bit. I actually wrote down an argument against her speech. I was like, no, bad.
I think that's the point, though. I think we're not meant to be rooting for. I think that the expression that runs across Tyrion's face is one of ambivalence. It's like, what have we unleashed? It's like she keeps talking about wanting to break the wheel, but then the choices she lays out is join me or die.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have another choice, you know?
The thing is,
it's not really a choice. Yeah.
with that choice, in any other battle, the soldiers, it'd be, hey, you lived so you can regroup later, or you can go home and actually spend time with your family, make sure the harvests are in, any of that sort of thing if they make it home. Whereas she's like, you can join me again and do all the battle again or die.
In some ways, she's worse than the Lannisters because the Lannisters take prisoners and then hostage them, ransom them, and all that. But Dany's just all or nothing, scorched earth. So I like that idea that she could become the Mad Queen. I think that's a good choice.
Right.
I don't want this. I'm sick of this savior Messiah Dany just ruling everything and being the greatest thing ever. I want this ethical dilemma for Tyrion.
Right. And the show goes far to try to make that point clear too, and discussions coming up soon.
Actually, with Dany killing Dickon.
Dickon.
Yeah, Dickon and Randall Tarly, how she kills them is actually very, very similar to how the Mad King killed Brandon and Rickard Stark, because he did it with wildfire, but she's doing it with dragonfire.
Right.
I thought that was really interesting, and it was
Yeah.
Right.
The same way Ned heard. Sam's gonna hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, wasn't it the whole point of the whole thing with Ned's father and brother that it was slow and painful? I mean, it's pretty clear that Dracarys was fast and over in seconds. So, I mean, is that really any worse than, say, beheading? I mean, it was over, boom, fire, done. Whereas it was a slow, painful death with the others.
I still think it'd be painful, though, because burns are incredibly painful. And I don't think burning alive is a merciful death when it could have just been an execution with the way that they used to being done in their own land. So she could have done it with the things that the Westerosi do and how they execute their people, but instead she's doing it with how the crazy Mad King decides to execute people. So
I don't know, when it comes to beheading, like Theon executed Roderick, like that's always like a chance with beheadings that you get someone who is so incompetent that it is slow and painful.
yeah.
Where Dragonfire, like if it was burning on the stake or maybe beheading, I would go beheading. But if it's Dragonfire versus beheading, I'm going that way. But it's sad that it's sad that it takes that for Randall Tarly to show affection to one of his sons.
Right.
The little handhold at the end, and in my alternate history thing, imagine if Randall Tarly, Dany did let him take the black. It's like 2 weeks later, the Night's Watch is just like tip-top fighting shape.
They would be too.
Marching around, shield walling everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Just gets up there, whips him into shape, and leaves like this awesome Night's Watch military.
Well, in saying that, at least they did get burned, because otherwise they would be turned into whites, and you don't want Randall Tarly to be against you. So.
Oh God, as a white. That was one of the funny things I thought about the scene was that, like, if he had gone to the wall, he would have been stuck fighting whites. That might have actually been worse. So maybe she should have sent him up there.
But maybe she'll start sending people to the wall now that Jonah's like, no, seriously, they're fucking coming.
Well, she actually was considering sending him to the wall. He doesn't want to go. I think she would be alright with him sending him to the wall.
No, wasn't it? She said that it was bend the knee or die, and then.
Oh, she said that, but she both said Tyrion.
No, because Tyrion.
Yes.
And it was definitely Randall Tarly that talked her out of sending him to the wall. Yeah. He was like, no, fuck that. Only a queen can do that, and you're not my queen, so.
Yeah, which was kind of funny. I enjoyed that bit. But yeah, I think Tyrion did do a good job to try to talk her down and out of killing them, though. So I thought that was good.
He did all he could.
Right. Because he knows... on one hand, he wants her to be a good queen, but he also knows the sort of the propaganda that can be used against her. He knows the story that'll be heard is that she's burning people for surrendering, that she's got this army of Dothraki killing the Westerosi. There's a good chance that this can be used against her, that the various other houses can unite against her because of what she's done here today, and Cersei can use that.
Yep.
And the thing is, Cersei probably would, because before Dany even got there or started fighting them, Cersei was spreading propaganda about her.
And it turned out to be true.
Some of the
Dany's
previous
proved it
episodes.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, Tarly saw exactly why he joined Cersei in the first place, because of this.
Yep. Oh, man. With Dany's speech in this saying that, I know what Cersei has told you, that I've come to destroy your cities, burn your homes, murder you, and orphan your children. My first thought hearing that was, you've actually done most of that. You might not have burnt their homes, but you've burnt their brothers in arms.
Turns out
and
she burns.
You might not have murdered them, but you've killed thousands of people with your dragon. So
But who
I
doesn't
thought it was
in
very
war?
hypocritical.
But
It is
how do
that
you have a
war.
war without doing that? So, how can you have a war without actually killing the other side? You can't really win until you kill the other side, sadly. Or, even in the Red Wedding, you still had lots and lots of death, even if it was quicker and easier.
Right. But I think Dany's a hypocrite to pretend that she's not that. She should just admit, yeah, I'm going to kill a lot of people as well, but I'm going to win, so you should follow me. But she keeps insisting that she's going to be better and reform the system, but she's not really.
Oh, and
so far from what we've seen.
with her saying that she's going to destroy the wheel that people like Cersei Lannister, that they benefit from, I actually thought, no, you're actually essentially very similar to Cersei Lannister, because you were also born with a golden spoon in your mouth. Yes, you might have been living in exile, but you were still taken care of the whole time, and you still think of yourself as having a right to the Seven Kingdoms, but you don't, because Robert ended that when he won the rebellion. She doesn't have a claim anymore.
Basing her claim on the Targaryen, spoke in the wheel, but doesn't feel like any of the other spokes are legitimate. So she's going to destroy all those, but still.
Right.
But the thing is, her
All the
spoke
wheels
is
but
always
mine.
legitimate unless she comes back and conquers again, which yes, she is doing, so I'm okay with that bit. But she has no other claim anymore, though. Yes, you're related to the person who used to rule, but not anymore, so bye. Yeah. Sorry,
Yes,
that annoys me.
You can't be a revolutionary without hypocrisy. It's all the way through it. Karl Marx hated workers' unions because he didn't think workers had a right to speak because they weren't educated. Voltaire wrote this amazing treatise on education and then dropped his kids off at an orphanage so he didn't actually have to bother educating them. It's all the way through great thinkers and leaders and all this kind of stuff. They're hypocrites.
The rules apply to everyone but them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the nature of power. I'm just very accepting of hypocrisy, apparently. Oh, sorry.
Well, it's all one thing to have great theories and great ideas, but still you want what you want, and you want to have power. So do the rules apply to you or not? Well, it's all complicated.
Okay. Next up, we have King's Landing with Jaime and Cersei. So in this scene, Jaime tells Cersei that they won't stand a chance against the Dothraki and Daenerys' 3 dragons. She says that they can't sue for peace because Cersei is actually sitting on Dany's throne and Jaime killed her father. And as Cersei said, they either fight and die or submit and die.
Yeah, I love Cersei's fatalism in this. Like, she wants to just go down with the ship. It's like, I'm never going to kneel again. I am the queen. I'm going to die the queen in a blaze of fire. Like, I love Lena Headey this season.
Mm-hmm.
She's just all out. And her expressions are just, like, barely contain rage, just, like, pouring out of every part of her body. Like, when she hears Tyrion's name mentioned, her face just, like, twists into utter loathing. And then she's like, oh, you've spoken to our brother, have you? It's so good.
With this scene, I actually thought we'd get insane Cersei, and I'm like, no, you're actually pretty with it. Okay, cool. I'm digging this.
And I think it's interesting. This is the first moment where she doesn't actually think, I got this. You know, she's realizing when Jamie comes to her and says, we don't got this, we've lost. It's an interesting moment, I think. You know, I did like also that that the first thing Jamie says is that the Dothraki were really amazing in battle. And I liked that. It wasn't just the fact that, oh yeah, the dragons killed us all. But I mean, we talked about this last week, how amazing the Dothraki were. And I love that Jamie stopped, you know, as the commander that he is, and recognized that, you know, even without dragons, we'd be pretty fucked here. But with the dragons, we're really, really screwed.
And to finish Cersei's quote, like, I disagree. I do think we see some of crazy Cersei in this scene, because the rest of that scene is like, I've made my decision. No, I know my choice. A soldier should know his. And she's back to putting Jamie in his place and asserting her power over him. You know, you see that need for authority, and even authority over her own family and her own lover as well. You know, she puts him right in his place, to Cersei thinking, you know, I should have been the one that had a sword. I should have been the one with the cock, because I'm more of a man than
Right.
the men in my family.
At the same time, I really loved the looks on Lena Headey's face when they were talking about how Tyrion killed their father, and Jamie telling her that it was Olenna, and that whole conversation and the looks on her face as it dawned on her that, oh, wait, maybe I was wrong here, and maybe he didn't kill her. And yeah, it actually, and Jamie's like argument that Olenna really did it, and how it actually makes sense because, let's face it, you know, our son was a little crazy. And even she had to admit, yeah, that actually makes sense, that whole argument. And I love that whole little bit. And just in her eyes, you could see the conversation changing her. And I loved that.
I think that scene was quite well done, with how she's just like, no, but yes, okay, yeah, oh, yeah, no, yes, okay, fine. He didn't do it. Okay. I thought it was well done, yeah.
She's forced to reevaluate a lot of her decisions in the past few seasons. Like, she was hell-bent on getting revenge against Tyrion, and then to realize he didn't kill Joffrey. It's like, oh, what
That's
was I
huge.
doing all that time? It upends so many of her motivations. And the fact that she still wants to punish the Tyrells and kill Olenna, even though the entire family is wiped out. It's like she keeps running along this path of vengeance, but there's no satisfying conclusion to it. It's just a path to nowhere. So I thought that was interesting as well, where Jamie's like, they're all dead, there's nothing left to do,
and she doesn't know how to respond to that. Like, but I need my revenge.
It's sort of grief, and this is a theme in the, like, all throughout the books as well, but it's just this theme of like grief sort of externalized into rage and hatred and vengeance. It's like, you can't resurrect your children, or you can't bring them back, but you can punish those who hurt you. So it's such a twisted sort of psychology.
You know, that psychology that actually really fits with Arya's character as well. True. Because we might not be getting Lady Stoneheart, but we are getting Arya, and it really follows through with what she's doing or has done.
It's interesting to see the Lannisters now backed into a corner, because they've been on top for so long. But now they're facing, you know, they've sort of extinguished so many people, so many lives, so many houses, but now they're coming face to face with their own destruction. And I think it was the AV Club, they picked up on the fact that during the scene where Tyrion's sort of walking through the battlefield of all the dead bodies, like the Reigns of this sort of low tempo version of the Reigns of Castamere starts playing.
Yeah, it was
witnessing the destruction of the Lannisters.
Right.
Yeah, in my notes, the first thing I wrote about that scene was it was a Reigns of Castamere reprise.
Well,
which is
they've been using it nonstop. They've been using it nonstop.
This season.
Yeah, we've been seeing it in every episode, hearing it.
I'm waiting for the argument between her and Jamie, or her and someone, of just pointing out the fact, like, if you weren't so hell-bent on thinking it was Tyrion that killed Joffrey, Tyrion wouldn't have killed your father.
Exactly.
Like, you know, you're kind of mildly complicit in the death of a parent.
they wouldn't have had the trial with Oprah, and he wouldn't have died, and then the Sand Snakes wouldn't have killed Marcella, and then Tom, Faith wouldn't have taken over, Tommen wouldn't have committed suicide.
That's all.
It's the fuse that Cersei lit. It's the fuse she lit that undid her whole life. It was all for nothing because Tyrion didn't do it.
Yeah. Oh wow, I hadn't even got to that end point. I was just like, man, I hope Cersei realizes she's like, it's her fault that Tywin is dead. Nope, it's all her fault.
Everyone's dead.
If she hadn't have blamed that death on Tyrion straight away, the Lannisters would still be on top, or mainly on top, because a lot of the people who supported Dany actually were originally Lannister supporters. So Dawn would have probably been supporting the Lannisters, and you'd have the Tyrells potentially still supporting the Lannisters, because I imagine Marjorie might still have been queen. But even if not, they would have had enough people to destroy the Tyrells first before Dany even thought of coming over, if they had have found out earlier.
And if you go back to the early seasons, Cersei wasn't as evil as she was in the books, for example. Like, she didn't. It was often Joffrey that was doing the horrible things, like killing the bastards, and she was always trying to keep him in check and torn between loving him but also realizing what a monster he was becoming. But it's not until sort of the past few seasons, sort of post Joffrey's death, that she becomes really twisted. Then she has the Walk of Penance, and that really changes her, and she finally blows up the Sept, and now she's full-blown monster. But you see this transformation over time because she's lost her children, because she's hell-bent on vengeance. It's quite pronounced.
And a lot of that's her own doing.
And it's not just like, I think those parts of her personality were always there, but with every tragedy that has happened to her, she is given the opportunity to act out her vengeance in a way that wasn't available to her before the tragedy. Before Joffrey's death, Joffrey didn't listen to her, so she didn't have the ability to act on it. Tywin was keeping her in check. She was able to do some of those horrible things under Tommen because he was more malleable, but now without anyone, there's no kind of upper limit to what she can do now.
Yeah.
Right, and she was always constrained by having to wield authority through men, like her father and her sons and all that, or Robert. But now that they're all dead, it's just her, unchecked, basically. She can fulfill whatever want or need she desires.
Yeah,
Cersei's the perfect example of soft versus hard power. She's had to wield soft power for most of her life, and now she has hard power. And she's going batshit fucking crazy with it. She's wielding it in a way that she sees fit, which is dangerous.
There's a nice parallel with Dany and Sansa, because in some respects this is her first shot at power now that Jon's gone. She has control over Winterfell and by extension the North, and she's much more restrained in it, but also has these ambitions that she's not comfortable with. And Dany, I guess Dany's had the most hard power for the duration of the show, but she's struggling now as well. One, because she doesn't necessarily understand the politics of Westeros, but two, she almost has too much power and she's too willing to use it. It's sort of too totalizing in its power. It destroys everything. There's no precision to it.
At the same time, we can't really criticize Cersei too much, because by the time she finally has the power to do anything, she's got this massive force coming in and attacking her, including dragons. So it's not like, even if she was smart or good or a great ruler or whatever, like, what could anyone in Cersei's position, you put Jon in Cersei's position, or anyone, what could anyone do against Dany, the Dothraki, and the dragons? Never mind all the others that we've managed to kill. So.
Which is the sort of the great irony that you can be the greatest manipulator and power player and puppet master like Cersei or Littlefinger or Varys, but that's all rendered moot against the dragon, against the nuclear weapon.
Exactly.
Next up, we have Dragonstone, and this is the scene with Jon, Daenerys, and Jorah. So we have Jon touching Drogon's face, and we also have Jorah being reunited with Dany.
Not exactly subtle, the stuff with Jon and Drogon. Like, we're not even being remotely subtle. I kind of wish it had been one of the other dragons, though, because then we could get the hint that maybe he'll ride one of them, but not subtle at all.
This scene actually reminded me a lot of Quentin Martell in the books. I was like, are we going to get roasty toasty Jon? We did.
You know we're not getting that. You know we're not getting that.
Still,
And Danny's like, no, dragon, no. Don't do that.
and it would have been a really, really cool Easter egg for book readers.
Oh God, how do you turn it off?
That would be how they'll get rid of John.
And it would be great.
Were you guys? Was any of you guys irritated that Drogon wasn't majorly injured by the spear? Like, he seems fine. I thought that was going to put him out of commission for a bit.
Yeah.
Super miffed. He can fly. It's fine. You can get shot directly into that part of a wing and be fine. No. BS. Sorry. No.
Magic healing powers, apparently. Like,
I've never met a dragon, so I wouldn't know how fast they heal and whether that's a critical part of its. I don't know. Whatever.
Birds do heal very quickly, but dragons aren't birds.
Yeah, and it hasn't been 24 hours. Hasn't even been 24 hours, but yeah.
Could be
I
very
would like
slow.
maybe just like or just like a kind of rough landing, like Drogon just stacking it on the as they land, come in. Also, the other thing that wasn't subtle is Jorah's deep jealousy of Jon. Just rocks up and is like, oh, fuck, and you Dario again?
no, the thing is, it's another pretty boy. What the fuck, Danny?
Right?
Seriously, what the fuck? I told you to go get better.
Total.
I did. I came back and you're with another pretty boy. Oh, my God.
She's traded models, yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. She's hot. It's not surprising she goes for the pretty boy over the loyal one. Come on. I mean, what do we expect?
I was wondering if Jon was going to be like, didn't my father vow to execute you for slaving and you fled the country?
I know.
Am I supposed to kill you?
But the thing is, he
We're
didn't. He brought up, I served under your dad. And I'm like, you're not bringing up the other bit, like, the very relevant bit.
I didn't expect it. I did like Dany's line, though, when she's talking to Jon. She says, sometimes strength is terrible. And I kind of like that. When they're having that discussion over strength and power and what you have to do and how you can't help your people until you have the power. And I love that, just that line. Sometimes strength is terrible. I loved it. I also liked how Jon avoided the question again of the knife to the heart there. What did he mean by that? He talks a lot. He exaggerates, and then he got interrupted again.
I thought that
Davos is a poet.
It was so funny. No, it's just like, no, Danny, you're not allowed to know that I'm a creepy dead person being brought back to life, because then you won't marry me, and then we won't have a united force. So you're not allowed to know yet.
How long till Jorah realized that Jon is rocking his dad's sword?
I know.
The first time he unsheathed it, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Mine.
No.
I know. Like, he doesn't even offer to give it back. It's just like, no, this is mine. Fuck you. Like, my sword now.
Yeah.
Bye.
I wouldn't give up a Valyrian steel blade.
Not after what he saw, what he could do with it. Come on, at our home, you know. I also admit, I was really hoping that Jorah would have just mentioned, oh, by the way, it was this guy Sam who saved me, Sam Tarly, and then Jon would have gone, oh, and they could have had a little bonding moment, but nope, we didn't get that.
No, they need to be angsty still.
Yeah.
And there might be like a road tripping scene next episode where they are like going along, just talking, and Jorah's like, yeah, had dragon scale. This like nice guy Sam got rid of it.
Oh,
and just
maybe.
like, how is Sam? How's Gilly? Have a good old gossip.
They sailed from Dragonstone to Eastwatch. That probably took like 3 months. I'm sure they had time to talk.
Come on. On the show, it took 5 minutes. Come on. It's the show. They use Littlefinger's teleporter, and they're there already. Come on.
You know,
Fair enough.
with that now, I'm just presuming that they're putting in all of the time leaps. The time's still there. It's just like every episode, it's just like this scene is at this time, and then presume the next scene takes place at a slightly later time. That's how I'm dealing with the show right now, because otherwise it would not work.
Right.
2 years have passed this season so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably. And that's fine. I mean, do we really want
would also
episodes
get-
of traveling?
I'm fine. I'm just joking.
I know. It's true.
How
We can
annoying
still
would it
make
be
fun
if
of
they had worked it out and like after every scene transition there was like 3 months later, 2 weeks later, 10 days later, it would be so frustrating.
I'd actually find it
24-hour clock in the corner.
It'd be so funny though, or like a date in the corner. That would be really funny. I'd love it. Oh, John with that scene, and Danny's like, oh, my dragons are my children. I could see John just thinking a little bit, being like, damn, this chick's nuts. I need to get out of here.
Yep.
That's what I thought. I was just like, yeah, she's lost it, bro. Get out while you still can.
No, John has a direwolf. He totally gets it. Like,
True.
Anyone who's a pet owner is like, they're my baby. But she has like
Fair
3
point.
dragons instead of like a direwolf. And if Ghost was around, John would just like put his hand over. He's like, I totally get it. You know,
I mean,
they grow
it's
up
not like
so
we've actually-
fast.
It's not like we've actually seen Ghost all season, but we know he's still there somewhere.
Yep.
We hope. The next 2 scenes, the first one's at Winterfell with Bran, and we have Bran walking into at least one of a murder of crows, and he flies them north of the wall to scout the White Walkers, and he sees their army marching towards the wall. And then the next scene is at the Citadel with Sam and the Archmaesters, and the Archmaesters are all having a meeting and reading messages. One of them is from Winterfell, and that's actually about the scene we just saw with Bran walking.
Got there so fast.
So quickly. And then Sam advises the Maesters to listen to Bran's note and to urge every lord to send their men north to the wall and have every Maester hunt through all of the books and scrolls to find a way to defeat the White Walkers once and for all. But that's poo-pooed by Sam's mentor, and they decide to just send for clarification from Winterfell before they do anything else.
So I think
I
the
don't think-
clarification is a good move. Sorry.
Right, I guess. I mean, I feel like the Bran scene, there isn't much to say. We saw lots of White Walkers. It was cool. The cinematography was amazing. We knew they were heading there. That's it. More of what to talk about is the Sam stuff, you know?
Oh, but also with the Bran things, like I just loved that kind of like bugger off stare the Night King did. He's like, yeah, nice
Yeah,
jacket.
that was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. It was
Is that
fun.
because of the mark or just because he's so smart, you know, or because he's so active or whatever? Was it because of that mark that Bran has? We don't know.
I think
I
it's
think he
just
just saw
because he
ravens and
has
he's
a
like,
death stare to like end all death stares. Like he could literally be like a primary school teacher or something. Just you will sit down and shut up. Like do it.
get off my lawn.
Yeah.
When the Archmaester was like talking about the history there, and there were like 2 stories he told, I couldn't hear the name of that first one he had told about. Did any of you catch that?
I did. That was they
Was
said
that a
Jenny
real
of
story?
Goldstone's claimed descent from the Children of the Forest, which is bullshit because
Oh.
she didn't. Her the ghost of High Heart who accompanied her was the child of the forest. So Jenny of Oldstones didn't say she had descent. And Prophet Lodos was around during the time of Aegon the Conqueror, and he believed that the Drowned Good would rise up in the form of a kraken and destroy one of his dragons while he was riding it, and that didn't happen. Prophet Lodos was a descendant of Harren the Black, so he was just like, not only am I a prophet, I could be a king.
Right.
And then like 50 or 100 years later, you had like Lodos II, who claimed to be like the reincarnated Lodos, the first one, and he was like, yeah, I'm king, and everyone's like, no, fuck off, you know, and then he was beheaded.
Yeah, I vaguely remembered that one. I couldn't remember the first story, and I couldn't get the name. I listened to it like 6 times trying to hear what was the name.
Yeah, they kind of just butchered Jenny of Oldstones a little bit, but not too much.
Right. I still liked it.
Yeah, I like that kind of like chuckles of idiots from history.
Right.
I thought it was
Yeah.
funny that they were gossiping about everything. And it's like, psh, no. And have you told him about his brother and his dad yet? No, shh, don't tell him. I'm going to tell him later. Ugh,
Mhm.
Stop
That was
gossiping.
weird.
It's like it's the Old Town faculty meeting.
Yeah.
All these like bitchy teachers or
Yeah.
professors trying to get tenure, trying to
Right.
publish things.
It really is. Serious note, I think their decision to send for clarification is probably the best one, seeing as they don't 100% know or 100% believe in the White Walkers. It's actually the best decision because it's not completely brushing it off. You're still taking it as a possible threat, but you also aren't going to waste all of your resources on it.
Although
So-
at the same time, the answer to that question was standing right in front of them because unlike anyone in that room, Sam has seen them. Now, maybe they think he's crazy, maybe they don't, whatever, but we know the Archmaester doesn't think he's crazy. So why didn't, I was surprised we didn't get a scene where the Archmaester, because presumably this may be the last we see of the Archmaester, which is weird because why would you bring a great actor in for such a role that may go nowhere? So I'm wondering if we're going to get
Because they
some
did the same
follow-up.
thing with Ian McShane.
Right. I'm wondering, though, if they're going to go somewhere with this, because remember, the last thing Sam said was, go search through all the books you have and find a solution. Now, we know later on in the episode Sam's going to leave, so that may be the end of it, but I'm wondering if the Archmaester, once he gets the follow-up from Bran, will actually, maybe later, maybe next season or whatever, we'll get some follow-up on this scene where the Archmaester does send his people and they do come up with a solution, or is that just the end of it, and then Sam's gone? But we'll talk about that when we get to that scene, I guess.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm excited for that scene.
Right,
little
because
bit.
so much happened.
And it was so short.
I know I said I was going to stop complaining about the distances, but the White Walkers have been marching for about 2 seasons now, and they still haven't reached the wall.
They're
Slow-moving zombies.
They move slowly. You can't more make them move faster.
To be fair though, they've been heading that way in the books for 5 books now. So you can't completely blame the show for this.
Yep. Hey,
I
question.
suppose.
Do you think their bodies get frozen solid occasionally, so they need to wait a while and chip each other up and then keep walking? Because that'd make
There's
sense.
it's like a White Walker with a hammer. He has to chip people off, scrape their faces down, and
It'd be really cool if that's why it takes so long to march everywhere.
get Gary. We're frozen again.
Walking.
Biden's got frozen again.
I mean, if you look at the map, the lands north of the wall are huge, and they're walking a long way. Maybe that's it.
Okay, next scene. So we have Dragonstone, and this one's with Varys and Tyrion. So we have Varys and Tyrion talking about how Dany didn't listen to Tyrion's counsel to not kill the Tarleys, and how Tyrion is still, at least in a way, culpable for Dany's actions. And they also need to figure out a way to make Daenerys listen to them. And the second part of that is with Jon, Dany, Davos, Varys, and Tyrion, and we have Jon finding out that Bran and Arya are still alive in a throwaway moment, and we learned that the White Walkers are marching on the wall, and Tyrion comes up with a plan to bring a White back to King's Landing and prove that the White Walkers are real and a threat.
I was really bummed that Jon wasn't more thrilled or at least surprised.
Yeah.
that Bran
Just,
and Arya
yeah,
are
ditto,
alive. That
ditto,
was
ditto.
And they-
so annoying.
Although he
Any
did get
reaction?
really bad news. He did get really bad news that they're moving to where Tormund is. So, but still, yeah, I wanted some reaction.
Yeah, because it really was a throwaway scene. It was like, oh, they're alive, whatever, next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not like,
But,
it wasn't like,
Bran saw in a vision that the White Walkers are marching on Eastwatch. How does he process that?
That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah. Bullet point 1, Bran is alive. Bullet point 2, he has visions. Bullet point 3, he saw the White Walkers marching on the wall.
and Arya's alive. And Arya's alive.
Yeah,
too.
and Arya's alive. Yeah, exactly.
That's all. That's a lot to process.
no,
It's just where's his character? He should be processing this. It's just plot point. There's no contemplation or
In the
development
TV
or-
series, Jon actually knows that Bran is still alive because Sam tells him, unlike the book.
Yeah. I know,
but
he
it's still
he's beyond the wall. He could be dead.
Yeah, it's
by
like,
now.
Bran got home. Bran has powers. He saw something. Arya is alive. Yeah. I mean,
Arya
maybe,
alive would...
Yeah, maybe it's just Jon being Jon. Even when he gets good news, he's all broody and shit. And he probably got a line of good news and then 3 lines of oh, we're fucked.
Well, I mean, it's a lot at once, to be fair.
Book 5, when Jon is thinking about fake Arya, trying to Melisandre sees the vision of the girl and the grey horse riding towards him. Like, that's a huge moment for him. Like, he's caught between, remaining this neutral figure of the Night's Watch and have, like, all these re-emerging love for his family that he thought were dashed with the Red Wedding. Like, there's growth there, and it's just completely ignored on the show. It's bizarre to me. Like, all these amazing reunions are happening, but they're happening so fast and happening with so little sort of weight and context, and yeah, it's just strange to me.
Well,
like last season, the reuniting of Sansa and Jon was like, I thought that was really well handled. Like, it was so so powerful,
very
so emotional.
I
them
cried.
running in, hugging each other, talking about what their experiences. Like, that's what I wanted to see with all of the other Starks. But it's just there's just not enough time, I guess.
No, with it as well. With this scene, we know Jon's getting awful news as well, but they could have had a shot of him later on talking to Davos or Tyrion about being like, I can't believe they're still alive. I can't wait to go home. Or even as they're leaving, being like, I'm going to be able to see my siblings soon. Like, anything, just to be like, I'm super excited about it. I might not have shown it in the meeting, but I'm so thankful they're alive.
Like, he could have had a conversation with Dany, which could have, like, brought them closer together, where he's talking about, I thought they were dead. I want nothing more than to go back to Winterfell and hug them again, but it's my duty. I have to go to Eastwatch and defend the North. Like, that could have been a cool character moment where they're building chemistry, but it's just, I don't know.
Him having a conversation with Davos, as Duncan said, like, I want to see my family. I need to see them, but I have these responsibilities to go north.
Right.
Yeah, and Davos could be like, I'd do anything in the world to see my son again, but I can't. But you can, go to Winterfell. And he's like, no, but I have to go. Yeah, it's like,
right. Although, I don't know. I feel like if he really did think about it enough, he would have to go home. I mean, he would have to. And story-wise, we need him to get to Eastwatch. We need the big battle we're going to get next episode. That's clearly like the centerpiece of the season. So...
Right.
I mean, this is one of the problems that you have when we're trying to get to lots of things happening very quickly, that sadly these character moments have to unfortunately fall to the wayside, because otherwise Jon wouldn't go to Eastwatch. He would be going home to see Arya. He would be doing that stuff. And story-wise, I mean, I feel like the writers are now because they have, like, what? We're down to 8 episodes left of the show, right? They kind of don't have time for those moments, unfortunately.
Well, here's the thing. So, do we think that this is them following George's notes still?
We don't know.
Is this still a thing? Or is this them just coming up with, this is a cool idea, we're doing this, and they're just doing it regardless of whatever else is happening? Because I think they kind of just wrote themselves into a corner of the end. And they for some reason, they think this has to be the way we're doing things with this plot. We're taking it this direction no matter what.
Sadly, we don't know. And we won't know for
probably... This is a really stupid direction they're going.
Right. At the same time, this probably won't even be in Winds. This is probably in Dream of Spring territory. So we may not have an answer to this for another, God knows, 8 years.
20. I'm betting 20.
I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to be optimistic.
No, I agree with Bing. Like, I don't even think Arya will ever get back to Winterfell. I'm not convinced of that at all. In the books, I don't.
Oh,
right. I don't have that warm and fuzzy. Like, I don't think she will get back home. I think that's going to be the heartbreaking part of her story, is that she's never able to get home, because all of her story is doing a weird loop to get home kind of thing, and that's never going to happen. So I don't think that in the books I'm going to get a Jon and Arya moment, and it would have been really nice if they did it in the show, just so Arya could be like, look, I kept Needle, and Jon's like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. It is really sad.
The other complaint, I guess, is they're doing too much fan service. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if these things happen? But it doesn't necessarily suit the journey that the character's going on.
Gendry gets a hammer, but I don't get Jon and Arya reunion.
No, we're gonna get Gendry and Arya reunion.
We will.
Jon and Arya.
Yeah. We will. We're not there yet.
Gendry and Arya is going to be, if they do meet up, it's going to be weird and sexual, and I'm not okay with that.
But in the books, it was originally going to be Jon and Arya, weird and sexual, so... Might be
This is
slightly
true.
better.
This is true. I really loved Varys talking about his regrets about when he served Aegon, and the whole bit where he was like, I convinced myself that it wasn't my fault, but it kind of was, but he doesn't say that. I really loved that whole bit, and I also loved all the little bits of history we're getting, particularly like this bit with Varys, but a lot of it. And I also like the little bit when Varys goes, yeah, we got this scroll, and of course, it's sealed. What are you talking about? Tyrion's like, oh, okay, what does it say? He's like, nothing good. I love that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was a really good
like that.
scene.
Like the characters are trying to learn from history. They're trying to learn from their past mistakes, so history doesn't repeat itself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good. And the idea of the council is trying to manage this thing, and ultimately your job is to give the best advice, and that's what he has to do basically. He can't make Dany do something, but he can try and curb her towards the right path.
The other thing I thought was really weird was how in this scene, something we haven't talked about yet, is how suddenly the entire narrative changed in this scene, where we've had this war between Dany and Cersei, and suddenly out of the blue, because of this note, Jon has convinced Dany to put the entire war on hold. Which, I mean, that's kind of a major bit. Like, we've just changed the entire course of the season now, because they were heading for major conflict, and suddenly, because of this note, and I'm not clear, like, does Dany really believe Jon? And suddenly, out of the blue, after this note she does, but she was dubious earlier, why does she believe him now if she does? Like,
because she has the hots for him.
I mean, yeah, I feel like it hasn't been earned on the show, here, where, like, she suddenly decides, okay, I'm going to sue for peace with her to beat the White Walkers, but yet 10 minutes ago I was, like, destroying all my enemies. Like, it just seems to come out of nowhere, and it's weird.
I think she has come to trust Jon Snow.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue whether that's credible or not, but, like, she has come to trust him. She believes, Tyrion's vouching for him. You've got these messages, blah, blah, blah. And the other thing is, I guess, the battle from last episode was incredibly damaging to the Lannisters, so maybe she doesn't see them as much of a threat. Like, Cersei still has King's Landing, but their army has essentially been obliterated.
Yeah, I could see that.
And if Tangled has told us that anything, the power of the smolder is strong.
But he's not smoldering at her, it's more like smoldering into the distance. And like,
best kind of smoldering.
Into the distance staring does not do it for me. Like, I'm watching a Korean drama at the moment, and the lead guy, he is selling it on his creepy stares, and I'm like, bro, 110%, you are winning. Like, you are winning the game. I believe you that you love this chick. I'm like, with Dany and Jon, I'm like, nah.
Yeah. It just seemed to be such a, I mean, if you think about it realistically, it's a dramatic change in the storyline of this entire season. We just went from, I'm going to destroy them, to, hey, let's sue for peace because we have to fight the White Walkers. And it doesn't feel like it was earned at all, because it doesn't seem like there's any real reason for it other than, they're hot for each other maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, it hasn't been earned. Like, Dany had to be shown something to believe this.
Right, which we're going to get hopefully, after the big battle next episode, but
which is hard to do because she's so separated from where the White Walkers are.
Right.
She can only go on Jon Snow's testimonies.
My serious point is that with them sending people off to capture White and bring it back for Cersei to prove that it is real, I don't think Dany should be 100% drinking the Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
And that she should still be suspecting that it's not real. So I think she should be sending Jorah off because she does trust him to bring back a White, or to at least say, yes, it is real. I have seen them. And then she can trust Jon and then send people and then sue for peace.
Exactly. Like, I feel like that whole bit with Tyrion and Jaime should have happened after Jon presumably comes back with a White. Like, that would have made much more sense to me then, because then everyone is on board,
That's what I thought too with that scene. I was just like, shouldn't this be done afterwards? Because you're putting them in a lot of danger right now to be like, maybe this will happen.
Right.
Yeah, that would have synthesized the threat of the White Walkers far more quickly if he brought 2 whites when he went to Dany.
Yeah.
This is the evidence that there's an army of the dead.
Right.
And then she could believe it more quickly, and she could start to contemplate it more quickly. She could still have the conflict with having to deal with Cersei, but she knows in the back of her head there's a real threat, a greater enemy mustering. But it's just she hasn't really received any proof. She believes it far too easily. I think a lot of characters believe this army of the dead thing far too easily.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Gendry and Jorah are like, I've got to go and defend the
Right.
realm. It's like, what are you talking about? You have no idea what
Right.
the
No,
White Walkers are.
I think
I think
Gendry is more like, I just want to get the hell out of here. I don't give a shit. I'm going.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like
took this-
let's be honest that the whole pacing of this season is based around where we want to put the major battles. And let's face it, you're not going to get a better moment in the whole season. As amazing as the battle with the dragons was last episode, I'm hoping that our battle with the White Walkers next episode will be like the set piece of the whole season. So it makes sense they didn't want that in episode 3, that they want to save that for the penultimate episode, which is always the big one on the show. We've had how many great ones. So I get that. The problem is it's forcing them to do things out of order, and it makes the whole narrative bizarre because it's like you said, like you've all said, it's not earned yet.
I mean, they don't have to venture out and confront the entire army to get whites. They could just have a few dead bodies in the ice cells like they do in the books, and just when they reanimate them, pack them into a crate. And
if they get reanimated,
down to Dany for proof, which is what he was sort of trying to do in book 5. Like he was trying to get proof of whites to take, but obviously he got stabbed, and we don't know what happened with those whites. But I mean,
but at the same time, we know they wanted that massive battle. I mean, whatever's going to happen next episode is going to be, I hope, amazing, and we're all going to be raving about it next week. So I get that they wanted to do this. So. But
you can still have the massive battle. You just have the whites attacking the wall. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why 10 guys are venturing out to take on the whole army of the dead by themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's so dangerous.
We're gonna get them attacking the wall soon, anyways. So
No,
that's another.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like the set pieces are dictating characters' actions rather than the other way.
And I agree in this case particular. Sorry, what were you saying?
And in this episode, especially in this episode, that becomes very clear because the motivations and the decisions and the reactions to things just don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. With them sending out a bunch of people, I'm just like, actually, I think that the adrenaline junkies, and they're all like, let's go out, let's do it.
Yeah.
The dude bros.
See, Dany has sent Jorah out to bring back a white, but Jorah comes back as a white.
Yes.
Oh no.
That would be good, actually.
I'd be down.
That would be a cruel twist, yeah.
It would be a nice twist if one of the 7 ends up becoming the white they bring back.
I hope
By
so,
the way.
but this episode has proven that the writers are incapable of actually killing off named characters.
They kill all the time.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of the season now.
That makes
though,
sense.
So
That makes sense.
the next 2 episodes are the ones we kill everyone good. Come on, it's always that way. 6 and the last 2 episodes, we get the big deaths. I mean, one of those 7 at least is not coming back, and probably 2 or 3. Let's be honest.
You know, I kind of
care
hope
if
it's...
Beric or Soros dies.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those 2 that crack it, but I'm kind of hoping Tormund does, and they bring Tormund back as a white, because then you'd have like a massive, big, tall, hairy white. So that'd be really funny.
If you want that, the taller person is Sandor, and I am very happy with his death.
Sandra.
I am
Sandor.
not happy with his death.
Yeah,
They brought him back. Like, don't kill him off straight away, please.
Oh, and then we could get white Clegane Ball.
Oh, God.
Actually, that'd be cool. I'm down for that.
That's exactly what they're going to do, isn't it?
Clegane Ball. Yes.
We've cracked it.
We've got
cracked it.
2 zombies fighting. Yes.
Damn it.
Oh, come on, that's great.
Making zombie noises.
Yeah, that's his catchphrase.
Oh, scary.
Should
Okay.
we move on
Okay.
to King's Landing?
That's my moment of the episode.
Moving on, we are now going to Winterfell, and this is with Sansa and Arya. So some of the Northern Lords and the Lords of the Vale try to crown Sansa queen in the north, but she shuts them down, and Arya accuses Sansa of coveting Jon's throne.
So weird.
I actually really liked how Sansa shut them down, because she listened to them and she's like, no, Jon's still your king. Sorry.
Yep.
No. Bye. And I thought it was really well done from a political perspective, being like, I need to listen to you so I know for a later date what your qualms are, and I can use that to try to stop you from leaving then. So I don't get why Arya tried to pick a fight with Sansa about listening to them. I don't think she should have done that. But I think saying, I think you might want the throne, yes, she can say that.
Right.
But I still don't see her reasoning for thinking that Sansa wants Jon's throne.
Because she's watching Sansa and she can see her ambition.
Right.
But there's I think like this scene showed a really great element of sibling rivalry between them still. Like, they haven't completely got over what they were, you know, their previous relationship. It's not like it started afresh. It still has all its hang-ups and all the nitpicking and just
like her superiority
bullshit. Yeah, like and Arya pulls her out. Like she said, you always liked nice things. Like Arya even has an issue that she's in you know, her parents' room, where Sansa could have turned around and said, you know, Jon gave it to me because I can't sleep in my room because of horrible memories.
Yeah, and I think she should have said that, though, because I think that is one of the reasons why Arya thinks she wants to be queen, because it's because I was raped, and that's the room I was raped in, so I need a new room, and this one was free.
Yeah,
Arya's she's become very barbed, and she's struggling to talk to people, and I think they're both struggling to become a family again. Like they're just out of rhythms, and they're very untrustworthy of other people and very hostile. I guess because they've both suffered so much at the hands of others. So I think the animosity makes sense. I'm with Sansa. Like, I think she handled things fine. You know, she has to placate the lords. She has to keep things on an even keel. No, the answer is not to start lopping off the heads of your bannermen when they disagree with you.
Because if you do that, you have a Rob situation and goodbye all of your cast arcs.
Exactly. Or you have a Dany situation where she's So I think it I get where the animosity is coming from Arya, but I'm with Sansa.
Well, I feel like we're getting, you know, we've seen a lot of times in these discussions of all the different characters who's good at fighting wars and battles and who's good at the politics. You know, we talk about like Tyrion may not be good at war, but he's good at the politics. And Sansa is not good at war. She is not a fighter, but she has learned the politics from the best. You know, we can argue whether that's earned or fair or not, but on the show, they're clearly going there, and she knows what she's doing. And like we said, she handled the families well. And Arya, you know, she's learned how to be a fighter, an assassin, a killer, you know, and she's saying, stop them. Don't let them talk their shit. Just shut them down. And, you know, Sansa's saying that's not the smart way to do this, you know, and she's right. And it's nice to see Sansa for once. You know, we talk about how often she doesn't play smart or she doesn't know as much as she thinks she does. But here she is doing the right thing, as we've kind of agreed, right? And it's good to see Sansa learning that. And yet Arya can see her ambition, and Arya knows how to read body language, and Arya knows how all those other tricks she's learned over the years. And so she's still a little dubious, and that'll lead us into a later scene.
With Arya, you're saying reading her body language. I wonder if it's more like Arya's listening to the Lords talk, because I think Littlefinger is sowing seeds of discontent and framing it that Sansa wants to be queen to the other lords, like the Lords of the Vale, and that might be why Lord Royce came forward saying, we came here for you. I want you to be our queen, more than anything else.
Well, it's definitely established in the latest scene that
Littlefinger,
Royce and Umber all in league with each other, and that's all part of Littlefinger's plan. It's the problem with like so many TV series. It's like if you just had a human fucking conversation, these problems wouldn't arise between you. But then there'd be no conflict.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because then we wouldn't have stupid fights. So.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Arya and Sansa talking about like what they've gone through.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to you after King's Landing? Where did you go? How did you survive? What happened to you? Again,
I can imagine they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true. Yeah.
Do you like talking about your traumas, your horrible? I mean, you know, how many rape victims really want to talk about having been raped? You know, I mean, it takes a lot to get people to open up. And, you know, for all that, who knows how much time has really passed here, but, they've only just seen each other for a few days, maybe a week, to be suddenly like, oh, yeah, and I was raped. That's not like, that's heavy conversation, and they don't still trust each other yet. So it makes sense that they haven't had that conversation yet,
Not that specifically, but any kind of just like bonding, any kind of, do you remember when this happened? Just like you saw it a bit with Sansa and Jon, just some kind of, again, I guess the point is that they're very closed off and then they're not quite trusting each other. But I'm surprised I haven't seen some of them talking, 'cause they haven't really exchanged many words so far.
Yeah.
I do think it's all going to come out. I definitely think that there will be an argument between the two of them and they'll put it together. Like, that's...
I hope.
And that's where the information will come out. That's, it won't be like let's have a sit-down adult conversation about this. Let's, be siblings and scream at each other and learn more about each other that way.
Which also would be very rewarding because you see that a lot when they were younger. So I'd be happy with that because you get to see them being like, no, we're still kids. What the fuck are you doing? In a way, too. Yes. So this one's King's Landing, and we have Davos smuggling Tyrion into King's Landing to meet with Jaime. Bronn leads Jaime to Tyrion under the Red Keep, and Tyrion tells him of Dany's potential offer of suspending hostilities under certain terms. We then have Davos finding Gendry working as a blacksmith for the Lannister forces in Flea Bottom. Gendry drops everything to leave King's Landing with Davos and is ready to go in under a minute, making sure to grab his warhammer. Davos and Gendry are readying their boat to leave when some of the gold cloaks come upon them, and Davos bribes them to get them to leave. But as Tyrion comes back, they stop and come back towards them, and he destroys that plan. And we have Gendry killing both of the gold cloaks very quickly. And we have Jaime telling Cersei about Tyrion's message, and Cersei saying she already knows about it and that they need to fight like their father. And we also have Cersei dropping the bomb that she's pregnant and wants Jaime to be known as the father.
Yeah, a lot happens in this moment, in this long set of scenes.
Oh, there is so much that happens in it. But I was so excited with Davos and Gendry. I was like, when they had all of the steelwork, I'm like, it's Gendry, it's Gendry, it's Gendry, it's Gendry.
Right. Well,
and it was.
Well, let's be honest, though. Even if you hadn't seen the leaks earlier and whatever, I mean, I admit I had seen pictures. There were pictures posted of Gendry on the beach, the three of them on the beach. So I knew this was coming. But if you didn't see that, the opening credits gave it away because Joe Dempsey's name was in them. So. Yep.
They need to have those as the ending credits instead of the opening ones because it does wreck surprises like that.
Exactly.
But still, I was so excited.
Were any of you surprised?
I missed his old haircut.
I know, this one looks a bit weird.
Yeah, I agree.
I was more just like perplexed at what their plan was.
Yeah.
The fact that they just rode a rowboat up, landed right next to the Red Keep, just waltzed in. Isn't Tyrion like the most wanted man in Westeros?
Exactly.
And the thing is, he's very distinguishable as well. It's like he didn't just lose half of his face, he lost half of his face, and he is considerably shorter than most of the population. Like, it's very obvious.
I mean, I like that Davos said, I haven't been here for years. My smuggling days are over. They won't recognize me. But Tyrion, I mean, it's crazy to me the way he just. I mean, I started laughing when he just waltzed past the red coats. What are they called?
Yeah,
the gold cloaks.
I mean, I think
I
the idea was he ends up in the dungeon. He literally goes right he sneaks in and goes underground and meets him. So that part was fine. I had never a problem with that. My problem was at the end when we've had that whole little negotiation between Davos and them, and then Tyrion's up on the little cliffs there, and instead of just saying, "Oh crap, I better hide," he just walks up behind them, and it's like, you could have avoided this entire scene, and they wouldn't be dead now if it wasn't being an idiot.
That's what I was talking about. Like, why didn't he hide behind some bushes or something?
I was expecting him to dive into the bushes and just be like, safe.
But of course, we needed to see Gendry with the Warhammer, so that's why.
Yeah, right. I guess it was supposed to be like a secluded beach, and like guards weren't supposed to be there, and I don't know. And then we find out later that Cersei was aware of the whole thing the whole time.
Well, she discovered it probably after. I mean, like right after.
After? Oh, okay.
I'm guessing she got the news right after, because we don't know how much time passed there either. So.
I also like that you get to see Davos applying his smuggling skills. Like, just, he knows the lay of the land. Like, he's like, oh, I will bribe you. He knows how to hide things within the boat when they're searching a boat. You just see him play it so smooth, and you're like, oh, Davos, that's, I know. And it's like another scene, like another couple of scenes where he gets the best lines. You know, what happens if someone steals the boat? Well, then we're fucked.
All that Davos is light in this scene and in so many others, people have joked, you know, we've talked about how he might be comic relief and whatever. He still gets some of the darker lines. I mean, like when he says to Tyrion, oh yeah, last time I was here, you killed my son with wildfire. Like, that's pretty dark, you know, and I like that. I like that little callback that he hasn't forgotten that well, I mean, in the books, it's several of his children, but I don't know if on the show we think it may only be one. But still, like, you know, oh, yeah, Tyrion, we're on our own same side here. But, yeah, you killed my son right here. So I like that.
Oh, and other great lines. He's like, wasn't sure I would find you. Thought you might still be rowing. Yeah, they literally understand him. And
that was
the best one was the nothing fucks you harder than time.
Yep. No, but with the still rowing one, I thought it was so funny because I'm like, yeah, because all of the fans thought he might still be rowing, and that's been an ongoing joke for how long?
Well, to be fair, it's
that like pushed to the limit of like the suspension of disbelief when it came to the whole thing. Like, don't have Davos say something exactly the same as the fans say it.
It got a bit winky.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay.
And then there was the Warhammer, and I know I should have cheered, but it actually made me groan. Just like
I was expecting
he has a Warhammer.
I loved it.
All he needs now is a helm with fucking antlers on it. He can pretend to be, you know, the Lightning Knight, the Laughing Storm. Sorry, the Laughing Storm. My bad.
No, I was expecting him to grab his bull's helmet because I can't remember what happened to it and whether or not he still has it. But he could have made a new helmet, and I could have been cool with that.
Was it the same Warhammer that his father had, or is it a new one?
I think he made it. He probably made it. Yeah.
He has made it, but people have looked at like stills from the episode, and it has antlers on it.
The Warhammer has antlers on it.
Yeah, like just where it meets the there's like these imprint or like a I don't know metalworking terms.
That's so stupid.
I know, it's so stupid that the bastard. He's just like, he literally finds out why he's there, who his father is, like with the Red Witch, and then he's like, I'm going to embrace my Baratheon-ness. No, fuck off. You're still a bastard.
So
you have no idea who your father is, and you have no. Yeah.
So when he hits someone, it just leaves a little antler stamp on it.
Say for Robert.
It's like his signature. It's his signature.
Yes, please.
You know, I wonder.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gendry, I wonder if this is going to be where he eventually heads in the books. Like, since, you know, he is with the Brotherhood, will he end up, like, if the Brotherhood ends up kind of going north as they are on the show, I'm wondering if that's where Gendry will join in, and they kind of just did that little detour to get sucked out by the leeches, or, you know, or if they're going to do something totally different with him in the books, but I don't know.
Well, Beric is dead in the book, so it's just Lady Stoneheart leading the Brotherhood.
True.
Gendry's with them. I think the twins are the most immediate target of Lady Stoneheart's intentions, but yeah, I could see them going back north
in the long term.
Her sort of brain dead needs to return to Winterfell, and he takes the
brain dead for preservation.
Isn't the Brotherhood without banners now quite fractured? You have Lady Stoneheart's group, and then you have a secondary group that are doing kind of the original thing. They're less vengeance-y and more help the small folk.
Yeah, and
Thoros.
Yeah, Thoros seems to be more like.
He's with Lady Stoneheart.
He's with Lady Stoneheart.
But I think Thoros is more like, what the hell are you doing to Lemon Cloak when he comes back with the Hound's helmet? So I think, yes, he is still with Lady Stoneheart, but I don't think he likes what's going on with them at all. No. I think he's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You guys are nuts, and this is not what we stand for.
I liked that Bronn was the one who set up the meeting. I like that, Tyrion still has that link with him. Lord knows how he would have contacted him given that he was in the sewers. But, and I think we kind of have to just allow that. But I still loved it. Like, Bronn going, okay, I put you two together. I'm working for both of you over the times. And now I'm going to leave you two alone. I liked it.
I think for the meeting of Jaime and Tyrion and Bronn, it fell a little flat.
It was incredibly flat.
More.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the actors tried to get something out of it.
Right.
Tyrion got quite emotional. Like
Yeah.
Jaime was
like
mulling things over quite intensely, but I think the actual writing was just uninspired.
Yep.
I like Tyrion's side of it. I thought Jaime needed a little more reaction, but I thought Tyrion. I mean, I really liked that whole bit of I was the monster and all that. I liked his whole bit there, and I also liked that Tyrion gave Jaime credit for being a bit better military leader with that whole strategy at Casterly Rock a few episodes ago. I liked that.
Yeah, that was nice. Like he was trying to, I don't know, just trying to be brothers again, try and like get him back on his side. But I guess just too much has happened. They can't be like they were, be the same as they were.
But yet it worked. I mean, in the end, Jaime does go.
Well, okay, the plan worked, yeah.
I mean, Jaime does go to her and says, hey, we should do this. And until, well, the rest of the conversation we'll get to in a few minutes. But, he did accomplish what he intended to, so.
Let's start the second part. The maybe baby is the Valonqar, because Cersei's only meant to have 3 kids, and the Valonqar is the younger sibling, and something's going to strangle her, and infection does that.
No, I'm expecting
So deathbed.
There's no
that
Valonqar
kid's never
in the
going
show.
to be born, though, is what I think is going to happen. Like
Exactly.
miscarriage or
'Cause it's
Cersei's
going to
killed.
die during birth, and that is how Cersei shall die. She now has 8 months to live.
I've heard speculation that it'll be a dwarf and she'll die in the miscarriage.
Ooh, that would be amazing. That would really be the Valonqar then. Then it would be the Valonqar. Well, it would be the low.
What if she miscarries and it becomes like a white and starts tearing her?
Can we have that?
Like on Game of
Seriously?
Thrones. Well,
That'd be amazing.
Sorry.
They did it on Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Zombie
Walking Dead,
fetus.
I don't watch The Walking Dead, so they can do that for me. I'm down.
We were having a chat on our spoiler thread, and someone put up was Qyburn, because he's he offers Cersei something. He's like, do you want something for it? And any other maester, you would be like, oh, something for morning sickness. But Qyburn's like, do you need some tansy tea?
Yup.
Here's the fundamental question. Is Cersei really pregnant, or is she faking it to get Jaime? That could be possible. I mean, I hate to say it because,
Third option, is it a phantom pregnancy? And they're using Mary I of England as an example, where someone who just needs another child so much, which Cersei does to continue the Lannister line. She needs to have a child.
I mean, and think about how
she has convinced herself that she is pregnant and is showing symptoms of pregnancy.
I mean, but think of how it changes everything instantly, because Jaime up until now is like, we have nothing to fight for. It's just us and that's it. And now suddenly Jaime has something to fight for again. That changes everything for him. He was saying, let's give in. And now suddenly she's like, no, we'll pretend, but we're going to fight them. And Jaime, at least from his body language and his looks and his facial impressions, he's all in now. He was totally like, okay, he was trying to talk Cersei out of this, and suddenly he's all in again, which it worked. Whether it was real or not, it worked.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Him back on her side.
For Cersei, with she's like, the first thing she's like, well, are you going to punish Bronn for betraying you? And Jaime's like, wait, is that betrayal? And then they have that nice hug, and she's like, and you never betray me again. You're like, fuck me, Cersei. Like, ooh.
No, but the thing
timing.
That was so strange.
Has he ever betrayed her, though?
Right. I didn't get that line.
But she lays out the argument for betrayal as setting up a meeting with the enemy and going to that meeting behind your leader's back. Therefore, that's what Bronn had done with Tyrion. Right. And she sets up that argument. But Jaime then, by having a meeting behind Cersei's back with Tyrion and coming to her with that information, he's done exactly the same thing to her as what Bronn had done to him. Like, that's what she's saying.
Except that he didn't know what he was getting into until it was too late.
No, but he didn't just leave. Like, he just didn't leave and say, fuck you, Tyrion, or didn't kill Tyrion on sight, which he has said in the past he wants to do. She lays out the argument for Jaime's betrayal when she talks about Bronn. That is her argument.
So you guys think that she didn't know when it was happening? She only found out once Bronn informed her that they'd had a parlay?
I hope.
Okay. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense for her to know Tyrion's there and to let him go.
Exactly.
Because he would be a valuable hostage.
I think it'll be Qyburn told her afterwards, or Tyrion had already left before she found out about it.
I mean, regardless of whether Tyrion's a good hostage, I mean, you know, she still would never have let Tyrion go just for personal reasons. You know, there's no way she would have. So I can't imagine if she knew she let it happen, you know?
Well, that's what I thought, but it seemed like Cersei is more willing to, now that she knows how strong Dany is, she's more willing to negotiate with her. She talks about, like, she wants to win like their father would, you know, let Dany become queen, but they can slowly assume power around the margins and rebuild their dynasty. So I wasn't clear whether...
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think that was what she was on about, because I immediately flashed back to the Red Wedding and was just like, so you're going to have a stab fest? Okay.
Yeah, or that, eventually lure her into a false sense of security and massacre her or something.
I don't think she's going for the long game here. I think she's like, we'll sue for peace now, but we'll get her. You know, like I don't think we're looking for like something like, you know, 10 years down the line. I think she's thinking more immediate than that.
I think it's probably within the year. This is why I think she's
actually pregnant.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think she believes that she's pregnant because in the scene before with her and Jaime, she's like, I'm going to fight till I fucking die. Like, I am in this.
Exactly.
No surrender, no holds bar war on Dany. And then in this scene, she's like, well, a break wouldn't be too bad. I mean, we could use the time.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And that's
she has something
the time
to
for her to give birth. Yeah, and establish an heir. Yeah, without an heir to the Lannister dynasty, there is no point. As soon as they die of war or even old age, Dany is going to usurp, is going to get on the throne that way.
Unless she's already dead.
Unless she's already dead, but even just giving Cersei time to show that she's pregnant and be physically seen to be pregnant is enough to reinforce her claim on the throne.
Yeah.
Well, she has no claim on the throne. She has no claim on the throne. Let's be honest.
Her perceived claim on the throne.
When in Western history has the wife of a king gotten... I mean, she has no claim whatsoever on the throne unless you argue that she got it by right of conquest in the same way that her husband did. Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, a wife has no claim on the throne. Why would she have it? You could argue, though, that Robert stole the throne, and that's theoretically what she did, although she's never admitted that that's what she did and that she burned the Sept of Baelor.
I think it is sort of by right of conquest. Like in sort of on the legal documents, it probably says she's Lord Protector until an heir can be established or something. But yeah, I think she's just sort of the closest thing, and she's enforced her will. And the blowing up of the Sept of Baelor was like, you know, I'm in charge now. So it is ultimately by right of conquest.
Right.
And it, you know, I guess everything's so destabilized and fractured that there is no, it's anarchy basically. Mm-hmm. So there's no rightful claimant can be appointed. She's gotten people to declare loyalty to her and swear their oaths.
And so she's there.
Kind of, she's reestablished a dynasty essentially.
And she's there. I mean that.
Right.
And if you're
she's
looking
on throne,
for examples,
I guess that's all that matters symbolically.
Yeah. If you're looking for examples from history, I mean, you have William III and Mary II, and even though Mary II was the one that actually had a claim to the English throne through her father James II, she actually it was like the Glorious Revolution, so 1689. So they end up on the throne, but the claim is through Mary, but she predeceased her husband, William of Orange, and he ruled or reigned for about, I think, 8 or 10 years after her death, even though he did not have a claim to the throne.
Did they have children that were still growing up at that stage?
Nope. No children.
Then that's weird.
Yeah,
Unless it's because it was already an established throne.
Yeah.
So everyone just followed it.
But so like it's exactly the same, like the throne of England and the Iron Throne. Exactly the same, but it's the same kind of setup. Like it is both like an established kingdom that has been around for several hundred years in its current form. That the spouse of the ruler could rule because there was no heirs, and it ended up passing to Mary's sister after William III died. But it's not that it can't be done. Like a spouse can rule, a spouse can reign. There are examples from history of that, but it just hasn't been done in Westeros before.
Exactly.
I keep on bringing up examples from history, but it can
That's
be
good.
done.
No, history's good.
Yeah.
Though it hasn't been done in the history of Westeros.
And William III and Mary II is also very different because of the Glorious Revolution. They kind of had to sign a deal with Parliament when they landed.
We're up to Dragonstone, and we have Gendry ignoring Davos's advice not to tell Jon who he is, and he straight up tells Jon who he is and that he's Robert's son, and they row out over who their fathers were. And then we have Jon, Gendry, Davos, and Jorah leaving Dragonstone for Eastwatch and to catch themselves a white.
What is Gendry's character now? Why does he want to fight? Does he just want to fight literally anything that he can fight? Does he hate the Lannisters? Well, he's not fighting the Lannisters by following Jon.
Yeah.
Does he?
Needs to get that hammer wet.
Exactly.
No, but it might also be like, I want to live up to my father who was this great warrior, so I'm going to go and be a great warrior now.
That's fair.
But seems a bit...
He had no attachment to his father. He was told that his father was Robert.
Yeah, we have not seen Gendry since he was told his father was Robert Baratheon. There's no character development leading up to the point that he wants to be Robert.
Well, we don't know what happened while he was rowing and for the last three seasons. So.
But that's the problem.
Yep.
There is just no reasons for Gendry's behavior whatsoever.
I think he's probably just a red shirt, so we can see him fighting the whites and being killed, and Jon had like 2 minutes of bonding with him, so he can be sad about that.
Right. Will this be yet another example of we bring back a character after several seasons just to kill them? But that said,
should have stayed in that boat, Gendry.
That said, I liked the little bastard camaraderie that he had with Jon there. Like, we're both bastards, and and our fathers were really cool friends, and I kind of liked all of that, even if it didn't seem all that earned. I still liked it.
Right. Yeah, I like the concept of children of the characters we had in the beginning are sort of playing out, like they're living in the shadow of their parents, what they did. They're trying to live up to that and not make the same mistakes. And there's a nice sort of what's the word? I don't know.
Parallel and service.
An echo, a parallel, or sort of an echo, like a wheel that's going round and round.
That Daenerys is trying to break.
Yeah, that wheel.
Man. There was a nice part, at least for Jon, when he's like, you're a lot leaner than your dad, and Gendry's like, well, you're a lot shorter, and you just have this moment where Jon's like, oh shit, I've taken myself too seriously, I'm actually going to smile.
I liked it.
And I like that little bit, just because Jon does take himself way too seriously. It's nice for someone to be like, no, I'm going to make fun of you a little.
I thought it was funny because I'm like, you are short, bro, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, but he's hot, so who cares?
And Lord's kiss, so you can be short and be able to do that, and you're fine.
Right.
That's why he's always on top of the wall, because it makes him look tall.
Yes. I mean, when you're on the highest place on the planet, you are the tallest man on the planet.
It's on
That's how it
purpose.
works.
Do you realize he's going to look super, super short next to Tormund and Sandor? He's going to look like really short.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's always discreetly like walking up a mountain of snow and
like those two
He's
actors
talking
are
to
like 6'4" and 6'8". Like there's just it must be an interesting thing to be able to fit everyone in the shot. As Duncan said, maybe walking over snow drifts and stuff.
It'll be a lot of wide shots. No close-ups of all of them together. No tight shots.
This plan to get a white and take it to Cersei,
It's really stupid.
does this have any chance of working? Like,
Nope.
firstly, you have to go beyond the wall with 10 guys and capture a few soldiers out of thousands, and then you have to take it all the way back to King's Landing, and then you have to enter the court of your enemy and present it as evidence.
with
what do
a
they think
zombie.
Cersei, what do you think Cersei's her response is gonna be? Oh yeah, I'm gonna give up my claim and go help Dany fight the White Walkers. Like, what does she care if the White Walkers invade the North? She'll probably seek an alliance with them.
except that they're coming for them next. So
Yeah.
I mean, well, it doesn't matter. Does the writers want it to make sense or not? The writers
want
say
it to
that this
make
is going to
sense.
happen. This is going to happen. That this whole thing was stupid from the start, but they're going for it. So, well,
I don't know. I mean, the plan here seems kind of stupid, but I think in theory the idea is smart. That, you know what, you have this creature of legend that no one believes exists, that we haven't seen in anyone's lifetime for the last, how many hundreds, thousands of years. So we need to prove it. And I don't think that's unreasonable that he needs to prove it before anyone believes him. This plan may not be the best way to do it, but
So the idea
this
is
plan
great.
is the perfect example of in for a penny, in for a pound. Not great.
So it's a great idea, horrible execution so far.
I think the show's just struggling to know what to do with the White Walkers.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite fit into the show that we've been watching for the past 6 seasons. It's so awkward, John, trying to convince them that this exists. I mean, it shouldn't be, I guess, because dragons are around. Why can't zombies be around? But it's just, until we see some evidence, until we see an attack by the White Walkers, you almost want the White Walkers to attack just so you have something to point to.
right.
It's just awkward. Now he has to go get evidence and bring it back, and Sam's trying to convince the Maesters and to find a document that proves them. It's just the White Walkers are supposed to be such a cataclysmic threat that all this sort of running around, it's not satisfying, and it's just confusing.
The problem is we still don't know how it's going to be handled in the books because we're nowhere near that yet. I mean, at this point, the Night's Watch are the only people who've run into them, who are still around, and of course, the wildlings. So we're not at that point. So I'm not sure how. I mean, it may be just as awkward in the books when George has to figure out how to get everyone to believe it. So we're in a weird position now where it's hard to criticize the show because we don't know yet how George is going to do it. So maybe it's going to be just as awkward, or maybe it won't. Maybe he's got a brilliant plan to figure it out, or maybe that's why it's taking him so long to get the damn books out. I don't know.
He has all of his red priests, though, and he's already set them up so they can be the people telling everyone that they need to get to the wall to fight for the dawn.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
true.
has sort of set it up already.
Yeah,
But that's
I just
only
figure I just figure the wall's just gonna fall in the books, and they're just gonna have to deal with it as it's occurring.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Maybe it will be
Sam's
John running around trying to convince people.
Sam's at the Citadel fucking around with the old horn, gives it a blow, wall comes down.
Yeah,
Probably.
just this vague rumble. It's
Yeah, just
what did that do?
shiver up the spine. Something bad has happened. Oops.
Well, we know who has the horn in the books.
No, it's gonna be Euron. He's gonna get the horn and go and.
Well, he has to
bring
get it.
down the wall.
He has to get it from Sam.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Isn't Old
Anyway.
Town about to be besieged?
Well,
Yeah,
yes.
that's where the
Theoretically.
Ironborn are heading.
Yes.
Yeah,
think so?
exactly. That's how it happens.
Up-
Right. Most likely.
Confirmed.
Do we want to talk about Dany's farewell to her lady loves, but her man crushes?
Oh man, Jorah! I love the Tyrion and Jorah scene just because Tyrion's I've missed you moment. Nobody glowers quite like you, not even Grey Worm. It's just my bromance from season 5, and now I have my Gendry Jon bromance of season 7. But it was nice. But God, Ian Glenn has been saving up that kicked puppy look for so long. Just every time he looks at Jon, it's just yep, someone killed a puppy.
But it's so good.
I like that he's not just slobbering all over her. He's restrained. He just kisses her hand. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go serve you. He's not hanging around and
Yep.
wagging his tail.
But I think he
we don't know
was
how far
going-
down the grayscale went, so he might not be able to wag anything that he used to be able to.
Ew.
With it, I think it's kind of funny because Jorah's like, oh, I'm going to profess my love for you. Oh no, Jon's there. Fuck that dickhead. I'll just kiss you on the hand. Oh, okay. Bye.
That said, I really am liking the genuine affection, if it's maybe not what Jorah wants, but the affection that Dany's giving him.
Yeah.
You know, he's finally getting some of what he wants, but not the way he wants it. So
it's like, I care for you. I'm not in love with you, but I missed you.
Right. Which is it's got to be at least something for him. You know, it's something.
His love is a bit less lecherous and it's a bit more wholesome. Like he just wants to serve her, I guess, now, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or at least in the show, I found him way less creepy than in the books.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the one problem with Ian Glenn's casting is Jorah has these moments where he comes off as quite charming and lovely and
most of his scenes.
Yeah.
And let's face it, on the show, he's attractive, and in the books, he's not. And in the show, she's, 14, 15, maybe 16 at this point, and she's clearly not in the books, sorry. And in the show, she's clearly not. So that altogether makes it all a lot less creepy.
Yeah, and Jorah's not around. I guess we did see him with a prostitute that kind of looked like Dany, didn't we?
Yep.
He didn't go for it, though.
Oh, he didn't go for it. He went for it in the books.
Do we want to move on to Sam and Gilly?
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Biggest of the episode.
Okay, so now we're at the Citadel with Sam and Gilly. Sam is transcribing the tomes that were his punishment for curing Jorah, while Gilly is reading some of the facts to him from the book she's reading. One of these suggests that Rhaegar had his marriage to Elia Martell annulled, and then he married Lyanna Stark, and then Sam snaps and is just like, fuck this shit, I can't deal with that anymore, and he goes and raids the library before he and Gilly and little Sam hit the road. With him raiding the library, I just had flashbacks to Harry Potter. It's really bad, but I was just like, Harry Potter moment. It's at night. He shouldn't be there. No one else is there. He's just stealing all the books.
Walder Frey's kind of just mopping up the floor.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, that look that Sam gave when he left the library was like, this is everything I've ever wanted. Oh, God damn it. Why?
You know, I found all of this so weird because on one hand, we've had what could be arguably the biggest revelation of the entire series, and it comes in a moment of passing from, of all people, Gilly, and no one realizes that it happens. And it's kind of a weird thing in that, you know, obviously those of us who've read the books were like, holy crap, we know exactly what happened. Like, I had to pause it. I was like hyperventilating and like, oh my God, they just did it. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And, you know, and yet, you know, hardly anyone who didn't read the books had any idea what that meant. I was telling friends at work last night and they were like, oh my God, really? It's really? Oh, finally, oh my God. And, you know, but I know like one person who hasn't read the books who actually figured out what it meant. You know, so it's such a weird way to reveal it.
It is. And the funny thing is, it means that Dany doesn't even have the claim she thinks she has anymore because Jon's the heir. So, bye, Dany.
Exactly.
Bye.
So, you can bend the knee.
Question is,
you bend the knee, girl.
Yup.
Sarah's
Yeah, exactly.
take off of that entire scene is like, haha, Dany's fucked.
Right.
Actually, I started laughing with this scene and I didn't stop to the end of the episode. I was just like,
Well, the question is, does it matter?
Yeah.
not
Like, no
really.
one
It does not.
Yeah.
And like,
It doesn't.
Well,
and
like
they're going to get married
it doesn't
anyway,
matter that
probably, or they'll
no
die.
one cares that Cersei's on the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
No one cares whether Dany is the legitimate heir. She has dragons. Like, at this point, I guess that's kind of the theme of this season. Like, all of the old guard are dying. All of the old great families are dying.
But
this idea of claimants and hereditary, you know.
But but Dany's claim has never been, I have dragons. Her claim has always been, I am the rightful queen. I was born for this. This is owed to me. I deserve it. And now that's not true. You know, up until now, even, you know, as book readers, even if you believe R+L = J, we never knew for sure if Jon was legitimate. And if he's not legitimate, he had no claim. This is a huge moment. This is probably the biggest moment in the series, and it was done so strangely. And I don't know where they're going with it. I mean, clearly it seems to me that where they're heading is, Sam heard it. He may have dismissed her and whatever, and I'm assuming that at some point, Bran is going to mention, what he saw at the Tower of Joy, and then together Sam is going to I'm assuming Sam at this point is going to go, oh, that means, I'm assuming that's where we're going to go. I mean, we're now at this weird point that Sam is leaving, right? He's left his dream. And what was his narrative purpose for going to Old Town? Well, he cured Jorah, which will not happen in the books because Jorah doesn't have it. Although maybe he'll cure Jon Connington in the books. We don't know. He discovered that Dragonglass is in Dragonstone, although in the show he's already been told this by Stannis, so that kind of made that pointless. So this seems to be the whole reason, at least on the show, that he's there. Now, in the books, we have the horn and all that stuff that may happen. But, I mean, it's kind of bizarre that he went there to get all this information, and he kind of didn't, although it turns out in this scene he did, but he doesn't know it. So now he's just leaving to do what? It's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear, what the purpose. There's a few minor things that he achieved while he was there, but the overall reason he went there hasn't been achieved to be a Maester.
Right.
He's got a Valyrian steel blade. I can kill some White Walkers, I guess.
No,
but he got that
with him taking all of the books, hopefully he picked the ones that do relate to the Long Night, and he'll find the way to actually end.
How does he know what books to take?
I know, because he wasn't even flipping through them.
It's like just gross. They could be anything. It could be bowel movements again.
Was it like, this is the Long Night section, I'll just grab everything?
Well, the bowel movement
probably the Long Night section.
The bowel movement books seem to have a good piece of information in there, though. So.
And I guess Gilly might have taken that scroll with her, so maybe he'll open it later and realize what she was talking about.
Maybe. I know.
Whatever.
You notice she didn't pronounce his name right. Did you notice that?
He stole a bunch of White Walker cheat code kills, so he'll make good use of that when he gets back to Winterfell, I guess.
Hopefully.
The thing with this is Jon's legitimacy just doesn't matter. I've always assumed that Jon was legitimate, because why else would the Kingsguard be
Me too.
defending the Tower of Joy? An illegitimate child would not be defended, and Lyanna has no right to be defended by the Kingsguard either, just being a mistress or a wife, because she wasn't a crowned queen.
If Rhaegar sends them, they'll have to.
I figured it was more about the prophecy, like this is the prince that was promised, he's gonna save us from the Long Night. Like the idea of the Iron Throne and who's the rightful king, that seems like much smaller than the sort of more mystical fire and ice, good and evil battle that Rhaegar was meditating over.
Yeah, I just feel that Rhaegar would have always recognized Jon as legitimate, marriage or not, because of his importance to Rhaegar. Yeah, and that was shown through the Kingsguard, staying at the Tower of Joy. I don't know, I found this, I'm like, let's find a really ham-fisted way to give us exposition, but let's have none of the characters acknowledge it.
I'm assuming it has to come up later. I mean, it's obviously...
Well, like you say, the way it was presented seemed more like an Easter egg for book readers than show watchers, because show watchers aren't going to notice that.
Right. Although I did have a table in the restaurant last night that did. So we were talking about it, and they did catch it. But some people did, but not many. And let's face it, you realize that already by today, there's probably 8,000 articles online by every website in the world going, here's what you missed in last night's episode. I mean, I admit I posted that on my Facebook wall.
This is who Rhaegar is.
Yeah, no, totally. This is why that scene was the most important you didn't understand.
Maesters hate it.
Okay, so we're at Winterfell again with Littlefinger and Arya. Arya sees Littlefinger doing some particularly bad covert operations and follows him around before breaking into a locked room to search for the message scroll that the Maester had given him, and it's supposedly for Sansa. When Arya is leaving the room, having found it, we get a shot of Littlefinger watching her leave. Discuss.
So weird.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this.
Is it meant to be on purpose and he knows she's following him, or is it meant to be
Yeah, he's very
partway
obvious.
through
He asks
he's
for a
noticed?
particular scroll. He knows he's being watched. He makes sure he says, "Lady Sansa, thanks you for your service." He knows what Arya can do, and she's just driving another wedge through it, and Arya has played into his machinations. Scroll is Sansa being like, "I declare for Joffrey, and you should do the same."
Right. So
it was the letter that Cersei made her write.
Right.
And it was like, you have to kneel to Joffrey.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess Littlefinger's planted that to drive a wedge between the two sisters.
Yeah.
Or was it? Well, it seemed to me like it was more like he was going to have something to hold over Sansa. Like, if you don't, I don't know what, then I'll let them know that you betrayed your family or something. I don't know.
No, I definitely think he
Sansa
only got that scroll because he knew it was going to mess with Arya.
What?
Yeah, Sansa has absolute authority in Winterfell. If he tries to blackmail her, she's gonna have his head lopped off or kicked out,
or eaten by dogs.
No power. Yeah. I think it's for Arya's benefit, and then he watches her creepily from the shadows and twirls his mustache to achieve something. But again, this idea that Arya has been presented as this master assassin, yet she's skulking around without a disguise in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Anyone can see her. How does this idiot Littlefinger get one over her?
No, the thing is, I think if you think she's that great, you are buying into what the show's painting her as, because the show is painting her as being this great sword master, this fantastic assassin, but I don't think she really has been that great as an assassin or putting things together that we've seen so far. Yes, she can go and murder people, but that doesn't mean she can put two and two together or makes necessarily the best decisions.
Fair.
Well, she was able to sneak into the twins and hang out there in disguise for a few weeks, it seemed like. She was able to poison all those glasses. It seemed like, maybe it's unjustified, but it seems like the show wants us to think she's a master.
Yeah.
I think she does have the skills, and Littlefinger has recognized that she has skills, but he's counting on the fact that she's not going to think it through. If she goes to Sansa with this information, Sansa is going to know immediately what has happened, where Arya isn't, because she hasn't been dealing with Littlefinger for that long and is a lot more impulsive.
Yes, and
yeah, I think it's more a testament to her thinking and her decision making than her skills.
Yes, that's what I think as well. I think that they kind of need to have it happen, and then, like one of you was saying earlier, that way we can get a scene between the two of them, and it could be a fight scene, anything just to bring them closer so they can try to work together as a team against everything else, rather than trying to cut each other off at the knees, because that won't help anyone there.
I would say it's just so hard to judge this scene because we don't know where it's going. And from here, it could go any one in 100 different ways. So it's hard for me to say, it may turn out that this scene was total crap and made no sense at all. Or we might next week or 2 weeks from now or a month, a year from now be, I don't know. It's because I don't get anything that Littlefinger's doing this season, because none of it makes any sense. But you could have argued that about him in the second season, that it didn't make sense unless you understood it. So maybe he actually does have a smart plan that the writers have come up with, or maybe it's all messed up. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess as he keeps saying, his MO is to cause chaos. So he's trying to turn the Starks against one another. He was creating animosity between Jon and Sansa last season. He continues to do that. He starts to, suck up to Bran. He's planting these messages for Arya's benefit to find. You see some of the animosity between the two sisters before. Maybe he's trying to exploit that. So he's trying to create chaos, and then he can build some kind of seed of power out of that. Get Sansa listening to him. I was right. See, your siblings are trying to undermine you. Blah blah blah. But I can't see any other conclusion.
Yeah.
But the sisters getting together and realizing what he's doing and then kicking him out.
And
I can't see their
hopefully
sisters
that's where they're
going to war against each other. Maybe they will. Maybe Arya will kill Sansa. I don't know.
What?
But I can't see that happening.
Jesus.
I mean,
They better not.
My tinfoil foil for this is that they have their argument, and Sansa is able to like convince Arya of Littlefinger's actions, and they decide to continue like faking being mad at each other so they can capture Littlefinger. And as they finally like tighten the noose around his neck and Arya stabs him or whatever, he removes
with his own blade. Oh.
Yeah. Because it wouldn't surprise me if it happened in the TV series. It wouldn't surprise me at all because it's batshit crazy. And nothing makes any sense.
It just seems like they need a conflict to keep the Starks occupied. So they've invented this, and it doesn't seem... It's not compelling to me. It just seems very obvious in the way it's being set up. And the conclusion that the climax it's going to draw to seems obvious. Maybe they'll subvert our expectations, but it just...
Probably not.
I don't know, it's just not compelling to me. Like, I like the characters, I like them interacting, but this conflict just... Not as interesting as the rest of the season. Contrived, that's the word.
It could have been a lot better. They could have had better conflicts to have rather than just having supposedly Littlefinger using them or trying to use them. It could be better. By the way, with where Littlefinger hid the note, I don't think Arya was looking that thoroughly, because if it was me, I would be going through all of the books, seeing if anything fell out. I'd be opening the scrolls and checking there wasn't the message one inside it. Like, I'm crazy. Like, if I get a birthday present, I will open all of it and I will look through everything to find stuff.
Cutting open the sofa.
Yeah. And
is there anything in here?
With getting the message out of the mattress, it actually reminds me of Misery, as in Stephen King's Misery and the movie version of it. So I recently watched that, so I thought it was kind of funny.
I think this is the second episode of KrakenCast that movie's come up.
Yep.
Probably, because I watched it week before last.
Oh, right.
So.
And it's not a film that leaves you easily.
I'm liking I like Maisie Williams and Sophie Turner. I think they're doing some interesting stuff with the material. Hopefully it evolves into something more interesting than it seems to be at the moment.
I really hope so. Okay, do we want to move on, or do we have some more stuff to talk about with Littlefinger?
Nah.
Oh, no. Let's get into the real arse end of this episode.
Avengers Unite.
Right. Or Magnificent Seven or whatever.
There was literally like Space Jam music playing in my head when this happened. Like getting a dream team together. It was just...
You gotta get the old crew back together.
Yeah.
Is this a dream team?
We'll see.
The Westerosi version, I guess, maybe.
Actually, is this like the prophecy team? Like, some people see stuff in fire. It makes them really good.
Yes.
Does Beric ever... Like, I better let you do the summary, but I do have a question about Beric.
Okay, summary first, then questions, and then laughing. Okay.
Yeah, lots of laughing.
Lots of laughing. Okay, so now we're up to Eastwatch. So we have Jon, Davos, Gendry, Jorah all reach Eastwatch. Tormund thinks their plan of going north of the wall is absurd, and he leads them to a cell holding Beric, Thoros, and Sandor, who all apparently came to the wall wanting to go north of it, and they just locked them up. And all of them, apart from Davos, go north to catch themselves a white. Okay, with this, why the hell would you lock up people who want to go north of the wall? Just be like, fine, but you're not coming back. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that I didn't get.
Because you don't want to add any to the army of the dead. So, like, even if it's 3 people or 50, just be like, no, you're not going north. Like,
3 more
might
is
be
still
the
3
one
more.
that kills me.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
But wouldn't you just be like, no, you're not going north, bye, and like usher them south of the wall? Because otherwise you're paying for all of their food, you're the ones feeding them, keeping them alive. So unless you're putting them up top of the wall as your men, why keep them there?
Shits and giggles?
I didn't get it.
Yeah, shits and giggles.
Just to have them there for this scene. I mean, this is another one of those scenes where these people are doesn't necessarily make sense, but we need them there for the story, so I'm just going to sort of roll with it.
Yeah, I laughed through all of this scene because I was like, what even? What? I thought it was so stupid.
Yeah, it seems like something you'd find on a fan fiction site.
Yep.
You know, what if Gendry and Tormund and the Hound and Jorah teamed up to fight the White Walkers single-handedly? it's so weird. I didn't know what to make of it. I mean, as you say, maybe it'll lead to a really cool battle next season, and that'll be great. I've loved the set pieces this season.
Next episode.
Next episode, sorry. I've loved the set pieces this season, but just in terms of treating this show as like having any kind of reality or any kind of layered character development, this was a hard scene to analyze from that point of view.
Yes, because it's not like they just came to the wall
always that preachy in the books. Eric.
No, I don't think so.
No, I thought he was very quiet normally in the books, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's like I like the guy that plays him, and the guy that plays him is actually one of the few book readers on the cast. It's quite funny seeing him in interviews. He corrects people. It's great.
I love his voice. He's got a great voice.
He does, and that's probably why he does the voiceover for the shorts for next episode.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, the one I watched it on had some of the what to expect in the next episode, and they had him saying the stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't like how
they don't do that in the US.
This is just everything that is wrong with the TV series in one scene. Tormund puffing his chest out at Jorah because Jorah is Jorah's Mormont's child, and Gendry being mad at Beric and Thoros because of the Red Witch, but they're all in it together because they're breathing, but Jon probably isn't.
Yes.
The thing is, the TV show has never done this. I don't think so. They haven't done like Avengers that's assemble the heroes.
It's true.
No, but they just
they just did. This is a new territory of bad writing.
So this is a new territory of ridiculousness, but the TV show has done some ridiculous stuff in the past.
Well, yeah, but this is like we want to actually make a Marvel movie, and this is how we're gonna do it. Except none of these. I mean, okay, so Tormund is cool, I guess. Jon is, I guess, supposed to be cool. Jorah, sure, he's got a good. Ian Glenn is pretty cool.
Gendry has a hammer.
I guess Gendry has a hammer. He hasn't shown up for like 3 seasons. Beric Dondarrion. Okay, the Hound is cool.
Just in time to die.
Beric Dondarrion and Soros of Myr hasn't showed up for 3 seasons before they had a cameo last season. They're not that big characters.
They really aren't.
It's true.
So we can expect almost everyone to die with this. Okay.
That's what I'm wondering. So how many of the 7 do you think are really going to die? Because, I mean, let's face it, if they kill Beric...
because no one died in a dragon fight. Why would they die in a fight with White?
Someone's got to die.
Beric and Soros are going to die. That's what I think.
That's what I think as well. Because if they were going to kill off Sandor, they just shouldn't have brought him back at all.
Yeah.
Right. And Gendry is another good chance to die because we brought him back, so just in time to go out fighting, you know. But will they actually have the guts to kill even, like, say, Tormund, you know, or Jorah?
They could, because Tormund was just like, you really want to go north of the wall? You guys are nuts. So they could, because he was being the straight man.
Right.
Yeah, but that means Davos is like the next on the chopping block, and I'm not okay with that.
Davos isn't leaving Eastwatch, so we're good.
No, but I just mean like chopping block in general for like straight men dying.
Bronze?
The straight men.
No, but we
Davos.
can have Bronn, we can have Jorah, Sam. I don't want Sam to die. No, and I really don't want Davos to die. Missandei, Grey Worm, they can die.
The one thing I did like about the scene is that you see Thoros in the cell drying out, and like, oh, the poor guy. Oh, it's like he didn't end up with DTs. And then like, in the next scene when they're just north of the wall, he's there drinking just so he can stop the shakes.
Yep.
I really liked that.
That was funny.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if they really have the balls to go all out in this and have like maybe only Jon and Jorah the only ones to survive it, and they come back with it. Because that would be pretty epic if the big battle they all end up dying except for like Jon.
That would make it a bit better for me if it was just they were sacrificial lambs basically, and Jon was like the only one to make it back, and he gained some important knowledge, or he got a white.
But see, if they really had balls, you'd kill Jon as well. Like, just kill all of them and no one comes back. That would be balls.
There would
I
not.
feel like they've done this. This scene has already happened. It was called Hard Home.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. It's one of my favorite episodes in the whole series. But that was this episode that showed you that everything beyond the wall now belonged to the White Walkers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing now is to protect the wall and to build it. Yeah, it seems like it's retreading Hard Home, and it's so much has so much less weight and gravitas and pathos than that episode did.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the next thing that we're going to get is a retreading of Stannis saving Jon from the wildlings. Like when Stannis rocks up, it's just going to be like Dany on a dragon or something. Like someone's going to have to save them.
I hope not. Because you realize almost every major battle they've had on this show has ended with some Deus Ex Machina coming in and saving the day just as the good guys were about to lose. So it would be nice to see...
Flotation armor is not Deus Ex Machina. That's just good blacksmithing.
No, okay. Honestly, with Gendry taking a warhammer, how the hell is that going to kill anything or destroy anything? Because all it's going to do is like knock them around a little bit, and you might have some skeletons with bones falling off and then coming back. Sorry.
Well, if you knock their head
Warhammer
off,
will
you knock their head off.
smash their brains.
Right.
But they don't
Like-
have brains.
It will, like, I don't know.
Knock their head off, then they can't...
It looked black. So is Gendry just like, I knew this was coming. I've crushed up a bit of acidic, like, dragon glass in there. Like, in the
I
steel.
know. No, I was
Yeah.
hoping that it'd say it has Valyrian steel, like, or it is Valyrian steel, and then I'd be like, so it might be able to do something. I still don't think it will, but it might be able to, and it still would have been really weird if he had have said that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to do much at all. At least Thoros, if he sets his sword on fire, he'll kill a lot of whites. So
Right. Fire.
Well, they were in the obsidian mines. I mean, John could have given him some of the rock. to put on.
hopefully,
I don't know.
hopefully they weren't stupid, and hopefully they are prepared. We'll see.
They are neither of those things.
Oh God.
It was so ridiculous. Like,
I guess...
I mean, the show's always had silly stuff, but the silly stuff is getting too silly, and it's colonizing the good stuff a bit too much. I mean, again, it's what does it lead up to? I guess.
Right.
If the set piece is so awesome that we forget about the
Exactly.
intro to the set piece, maybe it'll be okay. But it's just you want to like be able to take this as real and meaningful, and it's just like not doing it.
No.
I guess the thing is, I kind of was expecting this ever since we saw the first coming attraction that showed like them up beyond the wall, and that scene from next week with them being surrounded and with the flaming sword and all that. So I've been expecting this all along, and I assumed that's why they were going north, was to get some sort of proof. So I've kind of been just, this is what's happening, and I'm not upset about it now because I've had like months to be pondering it already.
Sure.
Wait,
I'm just
wait.
sort of reserved. I was reserved to it. This is what's happening. It'll be what it is. Let's just hope it's as good as Hard Home was,
Well, I've loved all the White Walker stuff
Right.
they've done so far. Like the whole Hold the Door last season was awesome. So I'm looking forward to next episode, seeing some Night King mayhem.
Exactly. You know, one thing I thought was weird, though, was that they named the episode Eastwatch. So up until now, I was assuming that this big scene was going to be in probably the penultimate episode, because we have to get back
Right.
with whatever they find, So I was assuming it was next week. And then they named this Eastwatch. So I was like, oh, wait, are they actually moving that up to this week? Because it's kind of weird to name the episode after what effectively was the last 2 minutes of the episode, when the next episode is going to be, presumably, I'm assuming at least, 15 minutes of the next episode is going to take place in Eastwatch or just north of Eastwatch. So why would you name the episode that?
why would you add Eastwatch to the introduction, but not Castle Rock and not Highgarden? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Someone-
and they had Castle
Or-
Black in it, and
Probably
they didn't
because
even go there.
Probably because Eastwatch
Well,
is really
they've
easy
had-
to add.
Well, they've also had Pike on it the entire season, and we haven't had Pike
Well,
once.
true.
We haven't
They
had
have-
Pike once
they have a-
season.
They have a particular counter. They can only fit so many seconds into the
Yes.
into the intro. They can't.
There is truth.
There's not enough time for the Raven to zoom over to Castle.
I'm kind of glad because the intro would probably end up giving me vertigo if it went very quickly, just because of the way that the camera moves. Like it's like this reverse image of a globe thing, and even watching it at normal speed, sometimes it can make me feel sick if I see it outside the corner of my eye. Yeah, I get motion sickness from everything, obviously. So like, but if it was sped up, I'd probably vomit. Like,
one thing I've been wondering about all season, and this made me think of it because we're finally in the snow, was, do you remember when we were all wondering when this season was going to start? And they started it several months later because they started filming several months later. And the whole reason they said was, we need to do our filming in the winter when there's snow because winter is here, and that's going to be the theme of the whole season. Well, if you think about it, we're now into episode 5 out of 7. And up until now, the only snow we've seen has been that very first moment with Bran and Mira at the wall, and right now, at the very end of the 5th episode. So we held off filming the entire season so we could have snow, and there's probably going to be at most snow in like 2 and a little bit episodes. So kind of interesting there.
Yeah.
It's because they lied and they really needed more time to write it, so it wouldn't be as shitty.
No, well, that's obviously not true because it's shitty.
Okay, all right.
No, sorry, that was too easy. Sorry, that was mean. But
Let's not end on a snarky.
so snarky. No, I actually...
Snark is always a...
I think if this battle is as big as we all think it is, it would make sense that they actually filmed a few things out of order. So there's a good chance that at least like a second unit has been filming in the snow for a very long period of time to do a lot of these shots that they're going to use in the next couple of episodes. And also we've seen like just a lot of winter around, like Winterfell. Obviously, that's a bad sentence.
A lot of snow.
Yeah, like you do get that, but just because main characters aren't there, it doesn't mean that they haven't had to spend like a lot of time doing prep for this big scene that's coming up.
Okay, I have a bit of a crackpot idea because they have Gendry now. What they should do is they should melt down Longclaw and then put Valyrian steel leaf over all of their weapons, so you get the properties of Valyrian steel over as many weapons as possible. There you go.
Well, of course, if you have dragon glass, maybe you don't need to do that.
Yeah, but dragon glass is really, I imagine, is very fragile. And we have yet to see them hand out dragon glass anything. So,
which, given where John just came from, you'd think there'd have been some mention, oh, by the way, before we leave, let's all pick up some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they were just there. They were right there where they were mining it. Why didn't they bring some with them? Maybe they did, but you'd think they would have mentioned that.
Don't forget your obsidian dagger. It's just over here.
Right?
Well, like,
your obsidian shield.
even just showing them carrying some of it before they walk out of that stupid shot in the tunnel, just have a few of them with dragon glass in their belts, and I'll be like, cool, okay, done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Since Jones just sent like a couple of massive bags of dragon glass off to Sansa with just like a note attached, go north, be back soon. What?
You probably would.
Make into weapon. It's not to make a weapon.
So this ends KrakenCast for this week. If you'd like to join us, we record every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's 11 a.m. GMT or 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to the DragonCast for our American counterparts or the Wolfcast for our European Vassal reviews as well. And thank you for joining us today. And a big thanks to Duncan, Dana, Bing, and David for sharing their opinions today. Good night.
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 Morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Or morning.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.